Oh. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl Adara, and I'm Sharif. And as per usual, we're going to wait for the migrators to migrate from the other channel on to this channel. Do your thing, YouTube. A little bit quicker this time because you've been making us wait a little too long. We already have the market sniper in the chat doing things. What's up to Bears versus Bulls? Good morning to you as well. Adara in the chat dropping hot lines. Got a decent move up here on the fuge. Right back up again, go baby. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, says the Chilean Nightmare. Okay. JF Trader, Mateus Lane, Dude Rocks 420, Alex K, Big Michael Lloyd. We got TX Trader, baby. Okay, there's other people there. Ryan, what's going on? D-Loaf, my man. Trevor Buffy, JC Finance, Cristiano Ronaldo, Zach Frack, I love that name. TNT Blockman, we got Anurag, baby. We got Aaron and Joanna Brewster, Racer X9, we got Sam, we got Solo Crystal, we got Louis T. Apple. What's up, Jay Lee? Shout out to Geronimo, Dad Trader, Futures Trader Extraordinaire. We got Matt Booth. The Katina Man's too hyped. He's printing too much. He's printing too much. I'm just joking. All Tank and Daniel Menendez. What is up, Adara? Good morning.
Good morning. I think, yeah, the NASDAQ is getting up, as you were saying. I was in this SQQ long, which means I was short the Qs. But then, because I noticed we had a little bit of support here, and I was like, oh, we can play that little shelf. We can maybe add over here. I watched what we did here. Right as we entered the How to Trade show, the market decided to not be my friend. But if we do rest here at this 11:53, I'm going to get back in. I'm just trying to make sure I want to balance my risk while also making sure I'm making trades that make sense for me. So that's what I'm working on right now. So we did have to say goodbye to the SQQs, but that doesn't mean that I'm saying goodbye forever. It's not farewell. There are other opportunities for me to trade this guy if he plays my little range levels. I was looking at PLCE earlier, Children's Place, but I think that's probably, yeah, it's way out of my wheelhouse now. I loved this range here earlier from 9 to 980. That was... But I couldn't play it because, you know, we trade exclusively during the midday period. But yeah, I mean, I want to watch and see what we do here. If we were jacked off this 9 and I can short it, I may consider shorting it. But like, consider being a keyword and very small share size also being a keyword. Fair. But I know you were playing that Apple range earlier. I
am, and I got out of the trade because we're starting the show, but let's go through those trades now. You heard the Neil astutely point out the range that Apple has been trading in today, and more in agreement with him I could not be. To the high side, we have that 170.60. It's only made it up there a couple of times. To be honest with you, the range has been a little sporadic. It hasn't been at the same price every time. In addition to that, the lows have been kind of higher lowish, not really, because this area and this area over here have very similar lows. But when you look at the two preceding lows before that, that 169.40 and then that 169 touch, that counts as higher lows. So the way that I played this, initially taking that 170 bump, taking it for a 20 penny banger, that was a good trade. Then took this one 169.75 long, and then took that one for a 25 penny banger at its height. But, you know, could have let this one run a little bit more. We're going to keep eyes on Apple today. And if a range trade is all we can get on this, and a range trade is all we will do, because we're looking for profitable trades, not the, you know, not always like the banger kind of exciting trades. So we'll keep eyes on that. We got Kuri, baby. Kuri 2S 99 cent super chat. Thank you very much, guys, for that. No attached message other than the sunglasses and a pseudo smiley face, kind of, a little bit. All right, guys, today we are talking about volume spike surprise, and we're talking about it specifically within the context of small cap trading. It's a guide to uncovering hidden momentum. Let's talk a little bit about that. So today's lesson tackles the exciting yet tricky world of volume spikes, identifying sudden surge in trading volume that might signal a shift in momentum, especially for small cap stocks. Buckle up, as these opportunities can be fleeting, but potentially lucrative. So as we always do, we have to assume that there are newer traders in the chat watching the channel. So we have to kind of just explain the basics, and then we'll move on a little bit into the more advanced stuff. So what is a volume spike surprise? So imagine a small cap stock. And by small cap, guys, we mean that its market capitalization is low. The market capitalization is calculated by taking the stock price, multiplying that by the amount of shares traded on the public markets. That's all you really need to know about that. The lower the market cap, obviously it becomes small cap, micro cap, stuff like that, okay? So imagine a small cap stock trading sideways for a while. And how many times have we seen that? Suddenly, the trading volume explodes. So on the chart, typically on the bottom of the chart, you're going to have a volume bar. And these are the volume bars right here. So that's what we're talking about. So you see right there, right at 9:30 a.m., the volume bar is higher than everywhere else. That's because that's the open. That's not what we're talking about, though. I just want to show you what I mean by volume bar. That is what we call a volume spike surprise. The key question for us to answer, though, is does this spike signify a hidden buying or a mass sell off? Okay, so is it indicating to us that buyers are punching long or buyers are trying to get out of Dodge? That's really the question here that we need to ask when we see that big volume spike. Why is it important, though? Why is this volume spike surprise important for trading these small caps? Well, volume is the lifeblood of any market. A sudden increase in volume can indicate to you a change in investor sentiment. So it has a way of showing you that the market is doing things. All right. For small cap stocks, where news and events can be can have a more significant impact, a volume spike can be a surprise harbinger of a potential price movement. The challenge is deciphering the reason behind the spike. Okay, it's important because small cap stocks tend to move a lot more aggressively on a news catalyst, on an earnings report than their large cap, mega cap cousins, okay? And that just really owes to the small cap nature of them and typically what comes with them, which is a low float. The float is the amount of tradable shares on the market. The lower the float, the more volatile the stock typically is. All right, so how do we distinguish the good from the bad? And by this, I'm talking about the good and the bad volume. All right, so not all volume spikes are created equal. Here's how to differentiate them. There's something we call informational volume. This surge is often triggered by news releases, for example, earnings reports, product launches, for example, could be another one. Analyze the news. Is it positive or is it negative? If it's positive, a volume spike could signal a buying opportunity. Obviously, conversely, a negative headline would be a selling opportunity. But there's also buying and selling pressure. A spike with increasing price might indicate strong buying pressure, potentially leading to a price upswing. Conversely, obviously, a spike with a declining price could suggest heavy selling, foreshadowing a downtrend. An example of a bullish volume spike, here it is. So here we go. We're basically kind of sideways, even though you could make the argument this is a bit of a downward channel, but you're not getting aggressive price movements. It's mostly rangy. Then boom, the volume starts increasing, and then look what happens. Price increases as well. So in this case, the volume and the price increase are showing you that it's positive price pressure, not negative price pressure. Thank you again to Adair for adding these bad boys in there. And again, you see this here, horizontal price movement, and then boom, the volume comes in and you break through the top there at resistance at 10 bucks, and you never look back at that $10 level. And the break of that key area of resistance is accompanied by above average trading volume. Again, it's the way to see whether volume is above average or below average. Just have a glance there at your volume bars at the bottom. Are the volume bars that coincided with the break, are they above average to the preceding volume? Or is it just, run-of-the-mill volume bar? So that's what you need to distinguish there. But there are issues with using news catalysts and earnings and everything like that. There are fake news and other pitfalls. I can just hear Donald Trump in my head. Fake news, fake news.
Well, yeah, the pointing would be on point as well. On point.
All right. Be cautious, though, guys. Not every volume spike is genuine. Here are some potential pitfalls. I've mentioned fake news, obviously. Malicious actors might spread false information to manipulate stock prices and trigger short-lived volume spikes. I'll give you an example. Oftentimes, when there is that pump and dump on the small caps, sometimes the catalyst that comes out has been doctored. It's been bamboozled. Sometimes these malicious actors, bad actors, they find press agencies that they can weasel a headline through. That press agency publishes it. Other press agencies get wind of that release. They recycle it, and all of a sudden, it's filtered into all over the internet. And that's happened multiple times. It typically happens with small cap stocks that are not that well known to investors and therefore, you know, kind of fall under the radar a little bit. That's typically how it happens. Hard to detect during the time, a lot easier, obviously, ex post facto when everything has been digested. So that's what I'm talking about. Malicious actors putting news releases out there that shouldn't be out there with either, you know, misguided or construed or outright false information, okay? But there's also profit taking, right? It's not always about false news that causes a small cap gapper to retrace. There's profit taking as well. So a sudden increase in volume could be existing investors cashing out, not new money entering the stock. And look for continuation. This is really important, right? Once you have your volume breakout, see if this influx in volume continues. Fading volume in an uptrend can mean that the trend is weaker than it actually seems, and that selling pressure might be on the horizon. Shout out to Adara again for entering this stuff in. There you have the volume, price volume relationship graphic here. You can see the strong uptrend coincided with increase in volume, and then an uptrend weakening with declining volume. So like we were talking about yesterday about using the RSI and looking at RSI price divergence, we also need to be aware of price volume divergence. As the price gets higher but the volume bars are decreasing, could be a signal that the buying pressure is fading and something might be coming on an eventual huadunk. So keep your eye on that. Not just RSI price divergence, but price volume divergence, guys. And here are some strategies for the volume spike surprise. So here's how to approach a volume spike surprise. Identify the cause, right? Investigate the reason behind the spike. Use news sources, social media sentiment analysis, and level 2 even, and the book, or the tape, in order to understand the driving force. So make sure that, you know, you've looked at the catalyst appears to be kosher. Now, are there the requisite orders on the book that are following this catalyst? Is the market looking at the news catalyst the same way that you are? And the way that to tell is there buying pressure? Confirmation is key as well. Don't jump in blindly. Look for confirmation from price action and other technical indicators before entering a trade. Does the price movement align with the potential cause of the spike? I mean, if something negative comes in on Tesla and it starts, well, probably not Tesla, obviously. If a negative catalyst comes in on a small cap gapper and then all of a sudden we pop up, should be a bit of a red flag. And be quick and decisive. These small cap stocks, they're around for a short time. And a good time, not a long time. So volume spikes can absolutely be short-lived. If your research suggests to you that it's a buying opportunity, be ready to act fast. Conversely, have a plan to exit if the price movement doesn't go in your favor or doesn't jive with your thesis. You got to be able to get out of dodge. That means having a trading plan, which includes obviously your entry, your exit on both sides, your profit taker and your stop loss. You got to have everything ready. We're obviously not including that here because that's been the subject of other lessons. And remember, volume spike surprises are risky. Do your due diligence before you trade and act upon your analysis. And proper risk management, always super crucial. Use stop losses and don't overcommit and oversize your trades. And even consider paper trading. Again, I know Adara was in paper trading mode for a long time, so was I. And it kind of helps you kind of get your feet under you. Daryl, wow, Apple just tanked all the way back down into yesterday's closing print. So there's might be a long here on Apple.
Yeah, Apple was like, what range? But yeah, so this, Jay Lee was asking, I think this is a valid question, you know, like, why could we look at an example of of, you know, an actual small cap that was doing this. And I think EDBL, as he mentioned, is a pretty apt one as well. We did have this nice volume spike, and we saw a little bit weaker volume here, and then we get our kind of halt. Right? We have a couple halts on this one. Then we see, and this is when we have our real move to the downside, is when you start having these larger volume spikes, and then with that, we kind of have that move down here, right? So I'm wording this kind of poorly. I am not a small cap trader, but I do think it's clear that as we start to get these pretty intense red volume candles to the downside, that's when we start to get that momentum down. Then as these volume candles get smaller, we get a little bit more chop and churn, right? So you can totally see when the volume flew into edible, when buyers started eating edible up, if you will, because that's when we had that big move, right? With all this volume, that we really have the downtrend starting, then we also have the uptrend starting as well, right? So I think it's a good example. I hope I articulated it properly. I'm not sure if I did, but we can revisit other small cap examples as well. If anyone's seeing small caps with those volume pushes that we want to talk about, there were a lot of small caps moving today, so we can take a look. That is for sure. So yeah, Joanna Brewster saying Apple died. I don't know if that's like a pun for like iPhones dying, or like if it is, well, I appreciated it. If not, it's still very accurate point. So either way, go you. Speaking of Apple, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm getting into the bottom end of the range there, Dara. 169.40, the closing print from yesterday on AAPL. I was just talking to Zed or Z there in the chat. And again, we're Canadian, so we say Zed up in this, you know what. I'm just trying to play the range here. Now, my out on Apple right now, if this trade doesn't go my way, is going to be the break of the low of day, and that's an easy one to determine. That's 169.26. It's going to have to maintain its position above low of day right now and stick to the range. Otherwise, I'll get in, I'll get out. And if the range is established, I'll get back in. So that is my look on AAPL. I haven't had a look at anything else, so I'm going to send it to you while I put in my stops.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in two trades that I'd like to talk about here.
Go for it.
One of them is Tesla's little sister, TSLL. I call it this because this is the Tesla long ETF, and it makes it a little bit more, I think for me, manageable as a new trader in the live to trade TSLL rather than its big sister, TSLA. But what I have done, and Sharif was mentioning this as well, which I think is really key over the last few days, making sure if you're going to trade one of these ETFs or one of these derivative type assets, make sure that it is respecting and see to what extent it's respecting the levels. I would say Tesla and TSLA, as you can see here, with the exception of TSLL being below VWAP and TSLA being above VWAP, the candles here in the formation are almost identical, right? So I feel comfortable cross-referencing with my Tesla for my TSLA, or my TSLL, sorry. And what I'm seeing for both, higher highs, higher lows. The goal is to add to this position because I want enough shares that I can piece this out as we go to the upside. But if we break below this where was I interested in? This 15s area, I'm going to be out. So we're risking about 7 pennies, trying to make minimum here. I want to get to 30. So we're trying to make minimum 7 pennies. So I'm okay with that risk reward. That's what's happening here. Also, let's hope not all that glitters is gold, but hopefully my Barrett gold position will glitter, because that didn't work. It worked better in my head. I like that we have these higher lows and a flat top. I want the flat top break. I do not have a large position in this, so I'm not trying to play the breakout, which arguably, you know, I could have risked this a little bit more, but especially with being in TS or Stressel, because I can't call it Stressla when I'm in TSLL, I'm in Stressel. So I want to make sure that I'm able to manage Stressel, and that's why, especially as I get used to buying power and being in the live, I want to have a smaller position. If we break below these 65s, I'm out. Trying to get out at 80s. So that's the plan here. I like the flat top break and the higher lows on GOLD. What else is happening here in Tesla inverted head and shoulders? Michael Moore saying on the 1 minute. Let's find out. I mean, honestly, as someone who's in a long position, I'm okay with a bullish thing here on this, but I don't really see a head and shoulders, but I see what you mean. Like, there is something going on here with this 155.60 area, right? We've had higher lows from this area. This was an area that we had as support earlier, then forming resistance on the 1 minute. So I do think if we can break above this resistance, especially the way we're kind of consolidating and chopping and turning and trying to get above it, I do think it could be key. I don't know for sure if I'm seeing a head and shoulders per se, but I see what you mean about this area potentially being key, especially on the 1 minute for TSLA.
All right. I think it's probably appropriate that we look at small cappers, given that it is a week on small cap trading. So let's get right to that. Edible is no longer edible at the moment. From the long perspective, it's come back down in $8. The only thing that I really do like about this at this current price right here is this double top defense at $8. Okay, so these were pre-market highs. Again, they were on decent volume, obviously not after the bell volume, but it was decent for the pre-market, and you had a double top there at $7.92. So let's just call it $8 or thereabouts. Now, in general, I don't like to trade these small cap gappers once they've broken south of the volume weighted average price. Let me just make sure we're okay here. Yeah, okay, nothing big, no big difference there. I'm just looking at my Apple trade, make sure everything's all good there. But this $8 area could be an interesting area. Again, I don't like taking these small cap gappers long below VWAP. And VWAP on my chart's hanging out at 913, 915, something like there. So like $1.15 from where we're currently trading at. We're trading at 805 on EDBL at the moment. So we'll see whether or not that holds. If it holds, it's probably going to have to go without me. I'm not going to take this long below VWAP. Now, edible. Big move, 80-some odd percent, so nothing to disrespect there. WISA, this one was running bigly yesterday, and it ran again today in the pre, but its best days or best time, let's call it that, and I guess I'm out of Apple there because I just saw it on my side that we broke down. So the pre-market high there on WISA was exactly $11.50, and then we tried to attempt back into that level right before the bell rang there at 9:15, but it's been down into the right since then, broken down below the volume weighted average price. The only thing we're really getting here that I kind of like is this $7 hold. And the $7 hold's not out of nowhere. Look where we topped out there in the pre-market at $6.25, which was, again, a nice move up for the pre, right at that $7 area. So previous area of resistance coming into support for now, but yet again, this goes against my rule of taking small cap gappers south of the volume weighted average price. VWAP on WISA at $9. So not a bad look if it can get into that area. This one started running midday, AWIN, AWIN, but it really did put in an ugly, ugly topping tail candle there at 693, just south of 7. And it has been a Christmas tree retracement to the downside, breaking well below the volume weighted average price. We're talking VWAP at 5.25. This thing is trading at 4.5. So AWIN, definitely not tradable for me with this kind of look. But what is tradable, and let's get to what is doing well right now. INVO. Dang, son. 292%. Katina, man, like that one. 296 now percent to the good, above VWAP, above the pre-market high, definable pre-market high. Forgot to mention that. All the check marks beside this one's name, and it's been respecting VWAP quite well. The dips into the volume weighted average price all have been bought up subsequent to the bell. So we'll look for something in and around there to weasel our way into a trade on INVO. Let me give you the details on this. Now it's up over 300%. $8 million market cap, minuscule to put it lightly. And the float, not much better. About 2.6 million shares available for trading on the public markets. That is quite small and usually means that it can become quite volatile. So INVO, keep that on your list if you want to trade some of these small cap gappers. What isn't a small cap gapper though, Adara, but seems to be trading like one today, it goes by the ticker UAL. Are you serious? We're almost at 13% on United Airlines, and this one really anti-quadunked, I guess. Maybe in the 4 o'clock hour there on the market recap show, shout out to the Katina man, shot up from 41.50 into 44 1/3. And we held that 44 1/3 high in the pre. We weren't able to break that. So that key area of resistance did come into play. But that all changed once the bell rang because the volume came in plenty. And any dips into the volume weighted average price, or I would say 46 really here, was an excellent area to defend if you missed that initial pop-up there. 46 has been coming in as a good level of support. All the dips into $46 have been bought up on United Airlines. It reported better than expected earnings, in case you're wondering why this thing is moving. And then the last but not least, and then we'll send it to Adair to see what that fist bump was all about, was VNDA. Let me just tell you quickly what the deets on this. Vanda Pharmaceuticals, market cap of 317 million and a float of 54.5 million shares. This one really had its moment in the sun, I guess, at 6:30. Is this getting bought out or something? What is the deal with this? Vanda Pharma, after rejecting unsolicited offers. Okay, so I guess they told someone to bugger off. There anyway, so 564 HOD, but that pre-market high there is at 610. It's kind of a little bit above the volume weighted average price, a little bit below. This one doesn't look nearly as good as INDO, but we're going to keep it on the side chart nonetheless.
Yeah, so I will explain the fist pump. I like that you noticed that. But also, before I get to that, I want to do some housekeeping for a couple things mentioned in the chat. Thank you, Darwin, for bringing this up. FAA grounding all Alaskan Airlines flights. So this is interesting, though. Alaska Airlines, according to the FAA, asked the FAA to pause its airline's main departures nationwide. So this was not initiated by the FAA. According to the FAA, Alaska initiated it, which I think is something I want to note there. Thank you very much to Darwin for bringing this one up. Basically, Alaska saying it experienced an issue while performing an upgrade to the system that calculates its weight and balance. So they're having a ground stop for all Alaska and Horizons flight initiated at 7:50 a.m. and they're working to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. So we don't know the timeline of this. If we find anything out, we'll let you know. But thank you, Darwin, for bringing that to our attention. We will be keeping an eye on that, as will, I guess, Alaska and FAA, to see how that's going. But also, thank you to Amir for bringing up June, which is today's IPO. I don't know why I said that in a pseudo-British accent. And let's load it up. It's on the NQ. Its name is June, so it's coming a couple months early, you know, because it's June and we're in April. But how are we, what is the deal with this? Junie Limited is what the company is called. The IPO is priced at $4 a share, 2 million shares, so small float here. Right now, just kind of seeing a bit of a stutter step to the downside. Not the type of IPO I would trade. There's not a lot of action happening here. Volume's not bad, about 1.64 million shares. Right now, we don't have a daily. All we have is just this action we have right now, so we'll keep an eye on it. But thank you very much to Amir for bringing this one up. And I'll switch to that. Yeah, on the 1 minute, it's interesting. We're really struggling with VWAP here. If this gets rangy and if there's a little bit more oomph behind this movement, I might step inside to the trade with a very, very small position. But I need to see more. Right now, this is not enough to kind of get me in the door. But yeah, I mean, kind of a slower moving IPO for sure is JUNE. Also, yeah, I'll explain the fist pump now because it was TSLA.
Hey.
I was super proud of.
I was about to say, that looks good.
Thank you. I was really proud of this trade. So I still have a piece for the dream. We have a final third, which is really, it's actually kind of freeing as well, because if I was to trade this with TSLA, I would have taken everything out by now. I would have been like, I do not trust her. But the little sister, she's a little bit calmer. You know what I mean? TSLA. Okay. She's a bit more respectful. That being said, I am watching what TSLA does, but the main thing that gives me confidence to keep my piece for the dream in this trade right now is, and I'll show you in TSLA, look at this massive consolidation area here earlier at 156. We broke above this pretty nicely. So if we keep staying above this, I'm interested in staying involved. The area I will be watching is what Tesla does at 157, which is going to be roughly corresponding with this little spike here. So about 635. If we break above 635, I'm going to stay in. If we struggle with 635, I'm getting out. So that's the plan for the rest of the trade. Really happy with my 2 profit takers I already have. I'm getting out if we break below VWAP, so 626. So I'll still be making 5 pennies if we break below VWAP, but if we I don't want to stay in if we do that, right? So that's my plan there. Basically, I will be profiting on the trade if this goes according to plan, no matter what we do. Also, GOLD, still in Barrett Gold, basically flat on Barrett Gold. Not much to say here, except we have basically this weird 2 penny range, 4 penny range. Like I said, we're still making higher highs, higher lows, so the impetus for me to stay in the trade has not changed. So there we go. I might add some shares at the bottom of this range here, depending on how I'm feeling now that I've de-risked all but one portion of the TSLL trade. So that is the T with Barrett Gold and my TSLA, my TSLL.
I like it.
Thank you.
Market is making lower highs, guys, and we are headed down. So out of that position right now on AAPL, we wet our beak there nicely for about 15 pennies through the top, and then the last remaining we stopped out at. And here we go. So here's the market coming right back down. Softy at day's lows, Amazon at day's lows. I think Apple just printed day's lows right now. Google and Tesla well off the lows at the moment, with Tesla about almost a couple of bucks, over a couple of bucks off the lows. Google is about 60 pennies or so, 70 pennies off the low. And NVIDIA, well, it has triple fives. Did you know that the low on NVIDIA is 855.55?
Oh, it's like they timed it
five.
at pause at 666.
Yeah, and I like 5. 5 is my second favorite number after 25. So, you know, it's all good there. But NVIDIA is making lower highs and lower lows. So here we go. This is the look on NVDA. Despite the fact that it rocketed up off that 855 and initially rocketed up off 860. Shout out to the Katina man for taking that NVIDIA trade. We are making lower highs on NVDA, mostly trying to maintain a The Katina man is taking a long on AMD at 160, this 160 area. The Katina man is long AMD 160.15. So keep your eye on that if you're following the Katina man's trades. Long AMD 160.15. We'll see exactly how that happens there. But yeah, this is what I was talking about on the NQ. We just printed another newer low there. We're well below 17.8. And we're below 17.7.5 now. So on the way down and to the right, there was nothing bullish about the look on the future today. We're below the 1 p.m. low from yesterday. Look at that. So this is the low that we got. Oh, this is the overnight low, excuse me. This is a 1 a.m. low. So we're below the overnight low there. So I guess that's fine. Let's see what else is popping off here. Maybe we'll have to look at some small cappers. Otherwise, we're going to have to take the market short at these levels. Everything printing lower right now, guys. Tesla holding up the best. Adira.
You could also say it's holding up the Besla.
The Besla, yes. It's a little on the nose. I didn't see it. I don't know how, but.
But yeah, I love this. Look at this bounce off VWAP. I said I'm getting out of TSLL if it breaks below VWAP, and TSLL and TSLA both having this little bounce off of VWAP right now. I'm really proud of myself for staying in this because I was tempted to punch out as we got near VWAP, and I was like, Adira, you said if we didn't break below, you'd stay in. So you have to be nice to yourself. You got to stay in this. I am working, and shout out to everybody who's been like super supportive and great as I've gone live. But also to this morning, I was talking to both Neil and Sean just about kind of, I guess, the differences between trading live and being in the sim. And I think one thing I really want to do is be able to take some calculated risks. I still want to learn. Do you know what I mean? So that's why, as much as this might not seem like a risk, staying in Tesla here, for me it is. Because my normal trading strategy would have me get out of Dodge the second we touch VWAP. But right now, instead of getting out of Dodge, we are staying in Tesla. Weird car pun, I guess, that we stumbled onto. So I want to stay in this. I'm proud of myself for staying in this. And I am, of course, monitoring TSLL's big sister. Tesla's still looking bullish here. So I have no reason to leave as of right now. But I will, like I said, if we break below VWAP, I'm taking profits there. Also, we got out of Barrett Gold because this one has just been really bamboozling. We did dip below that area I wanted. I was watching to kind of see what we did here. We traded a little bit lower, then we kind of got back up here. I don't like the idea of us breaking this base, so I'm getting out. That being said, if we get to 1672 again and we reject, there could be like a 5-10 penny short here. So if I take that with enough size, that could be of interest to me. Barrett Gold still belongs in my side chart, but I'm gonna need some nice little confluence for me to get involved in a short here, because I am curious to see what we do. Mainly though, just keeping my eye on TSLO.
We're in trouble here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about to break 60,000. Bitcoin is $147 above 60,000 at the moment, down and to the right. The high on the day, believe it or not, really early this morning. There it is. There's a Katina man's ticker. Anybody who's been watching the morning show knows that ticker has been below his 1 minute chart, or whatever that is, a 10, 15 minute chart. I've been noticing that as well. And well, we're about to see possibly here a 60,000 break on BTC. The overnight high was almost 65,000, 64,489. So we're about $5,000 lower than where we started. And what a volatile asset. But, you know, that's just the nature of the beast. Here comes 60,000, 69, 58. We're on our way to 60,000, it looks like right now. Will that level defend? Now, if you're wondering, Sharif, how do I trade this? You can go to IBIT, that is BlackRock's ETF for Bitcoin specifically, you can look to trade that. There are any number of derivatives. I'm talking about ETFs, spot ETFs that track the actual price, not the future price of Bitcoin. Do your homework. Google spot Bitcoin ETFs. If you don't want to trade IBIT, there's ARK, there's a whole bunch of different ones as well. So yeah, nice bounce up there, 60,058. We're already 300 bucks, 400 bucks off that 60,000 level. So it does look like that $10,000 level will be at least a local level of support on BTC. Yeah, and then if you want to trade some BTC related products, there's your Coinbase, there's your Riot, Mara, CleanSpark Cut, but you know the real one that's going to echo the price of Bitcoin, I would suggest to you, is the spot ETF, and let's load up that bad boy. As you can see there, IBIT down almost 4% on the day, as it obviously has to mirror or mimic the price action of the asset itself, BTC, at about $60,400.
I like that. Yeah, I saw that and I got involved in Mara. I'm running this marathon to the upside with Mara, but we're not doing the whole marathon. We didn't work out enough. We didn't train hard enough. Wow. So I'm going to be getting out at 14.50, trying to take 13 pennies. And then I'm going to save a piece for the dream. So I'm getting out 2/3 of the position at 14.50. So this was really just kind of a scalp opportunity using that nice pop-up we had in Bitcoin. Also, I want to say too, I am very new to trading Bitcoin related names. This is the third day I've done it. I've only really done it since I started going live. But one thing I have noticed, and I've talked about this the last few days as well, CleanSpark and Mara, but especially I find CleanSpark do react a little bit slowly to what the Bitcoin chart is doing. So just be cognizant of that. I was trying to get involved in some stuff just based on what I was seeing immediately in the Bitcoin chart. And it's like, you want to see as well, are there any particular levels of stocks respecting that type of thing? For me with Mara, this topping tail candle, along with that nice push up in Bitcoin, was the impetus I needed to go long right here. I meant to set my out a couple pennies too ambitiously is how I'll put that. So I'm going to switch that. We're going to do 47s instead, but I'm going to still save a piece for the dream because I am interested in a continued movement. I just want to clinch some profits now, just in case, because with these guys do listen to Mother Bitcoin. You want to make sure you're respecting that. Also, I got out of Tesla. I want to explain why. I got out of TSLL because we had that dip below VWAP and I said I had to go. I was happy we took about 4 pennies with the rest of that position. So please just punch, all things considered. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to get more comfortable taking the positions I have to take. So I'm happy with that. However, we did bounce again, so I could have gotten back in. I'm going to keep an eye on this. If Tesla still keeps making higher highs and higher lows, especially as a lot of these names, Meta, Apple, the Qs, keep selling off, then I think there is some potential to go long Tesla again. That being said, I'm happy with the trade I made, and I think I'm just trying to focus on that. Sometimes you have to not focus on wins you could have had and focus on the trade you did make. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We're still towards that $60,000 level. At 400s, we popped into 500s. I'm into IBIT right now, about 5 pennies out of the money. We'll see exactly what we get, whether or not we can hold on to these levels. My stop is going to be the break low day, so that's an easy stop to determine there. So we'll keep an eye on BTC. As all my crypto heads out there, I know Fabian gets excited sometimes when Bitcoin tanks. He's like, I'll buy more. Right? And then it's just kind of like me on Apple and on Tesla. You kind of get excited a little bit there. And oh, so you're shorting now? Are you short? It depends. Okay. Okay. So sometimes he's short. I'm talking about Chilean Nightmare Fabian. Sometimes he's long. Depends on how it looks according to him. So shout out to Fabian. He likes the volatility. Well, you make a great day trader then, because that's what day trading is all about. Volatility, oh plenty. The market, though, is not really getting any sort of reprieve here. We may find, I guess, some support at 17.7, but right now we're kind of in no man's land at 17.7 and a third. We'll have to wait and see whether or not we get into those levels. Let's talk about some other stuff that's making moves on the day. It goes by the name ASML. Let's bring in the side chart over here and have a look at them because they reported and they didn't do all that well. I guess by analyst standards, ASML. And the thing about this one, you're going to say to me, Sharif, it's a $900 stock. Like, get away from me. I don't want to trade a $900 stock. Well, look at this, though. I mean, for a $900 stock, it really did respect 900 level quite well. I'm talking about $1.50. That's
as low as it got below that 950, and it spent ever so brief a time down there. It was quickly bought up above 900. The thing is, though, it is still making lower highs, not necessarily the lower lows, but that 900 dip was money on ASML, and then you could have printed into the 13s, because I think it made its way back into the 13s there. So ASML, good luck though, but you're gonna have to figure out a level to get in. Right now, I don't like anything except that 900. So if 900 comes back in, maybe we'll talk about this again. But right now, it is no go for me. Daryl Finch, Meta at 50-day SMA, trying to hold, but I'm staying short. 497.40 short on Meta still. Shout out to you, Daryl Finch. I hope you print, my man.
Yeah, that's a Meta. Let me look at my site. Oh, that's a nice short. Yeah, congrats to you on that. I am still in Mara, and I'm proud of where like I said, I moved my initial, or the exit for the bulk of my position down a couple pennies. This is the type of scalpulation I need to be doing. I'm pretty proud of this, right? Because it's like, sometimes I use scalpulation as an excuse to leave trades too early. I will admit that. But in this case, I initially was trying to get out at 50s. I noticed, hey, Adara, we're struggling at 50s. Get it down a couple pennies. It got out at 47s, and then that ended up being the top of that 5-minute candle, right? So I have to kind of come to an impasse and figure this out with myself. At what point is me lowering my entry points a good decision? When does it make sense? And when is it me being a scared trader? Because as Sean says, a scared trader is a deficient trader, and we do not want to be a deficient trader. So that's what I'm really trying to work towards. That being said, I am proud of where I took out part of that position. This is going to be the big whale. This is what I'm really gunning for here. This is the Moby Dick, if you will, of this Mara trade. Look at this bottom around 1460. We have some resistance around 1460. I want to get out around 1460. Said that really intensely, but I really like the setup for this. Like I said, though, we have to wait and see what Mother Bitcoin does, because if it sends Mara to bed without supper, we're going to have to deal with that, right? And just get out here around if we keep feeling these 45s. That being said, I have no reason to leave right now, so that's why I am trying my darndest to stay confident in this trade. A little bit of a candle down here in Bitcoin, so I'm being aware of that, but Mara holding up pretty well regardless, only moving a couple pennies, so I'm just going to keep my eye on this. No other trades that I see right now. Tesla's still looking like a long, so I might have some dip opportunities there. And also, I don't trade the Qs, I trade the SQQs, which is the short inverse ETF. This could also, if we come back to that previous top here, or I guess in the case of the Qs, the previous bottom. Sorry, I'm aggressively pointing at the screen here. So this previous bottom, we come back to 428.80 and we reject. I will be going long the SQQQs, aka short the Qs. So that's what I'm looking for watching this area. I like ranges, and the Qs have been definitely respecting certain range areas as of late. So I want to acknowledge that and trade it the way that I feel comfortable trading it, which is through the squiz, the SQQQs. There we go.
I don't know if anybody, well, I'm sure someone noticed, ARM is down almost 10%. 9.5% for ARM, and guess what? It's near that $110 level. We're awfully close to it, so almost down 10% into 110. To me, that's an interesting area to take a long, to defend that $10 level. Wow, where do we come from today on ARM? A high of 122.68. So we're well down, $12 plus off that high a day on ARM. So I'm keeping my eye here on ARM. If we get down into that 110 area, I want to take a long, possibly here. It is definitely a counter trend trade. It will be a mean reversion at least here, seeing that it's very extended. And I don't really have a catalyst for why ARM is down 10%. Obviously, you know, semiconductors are trading lower on the day. They're all red. Probably maybe, I don't know, ASML. I don't think that's probably the only reason it's down. But yeah, 10%. So if we get down into that area, I'll definitely want to take a long at 110. So what I'll do is I'll put an alert. I'm going to put it just in front of 110. I'm going to put it out 15s. There we go. We'll activate that. So if it makes its way down there, I can have a look at that. And BTC broke 60,000, I believe. Let me just look here because I got stopped out of my position. It did break it ever so briefly, and then right back above 60,000 we go. Hold on, it's saying that we didn't break it. No, that's wrong. We did break it. 59,899 and 50. So big break, and then it's popping right back up here is BTC or IBIT anyway. I literally got bottom wicked out of that. That's so frustrating. So let's see if we can get long again here and maybe pop up again off that 60,000 defended there.
I mean, I got out of Mara when I saw the same thing, and Mara also trying to have itself a day. Once again, more of that from you. But yeah, so I mean, it's a bamboozling market, especially if we're going to trade Bitcoin-related names. But it's all good. We learn and we grow, and we also try to enter SQQQs. So I have, again, this might be a case of me not being aggressive enough with the entry. So you know what? We're going to push this up a few pennies here. We want to get involved. We want all the smoke. That's right. So this is where I want to get involved here. The 68. 1168, again, I might have missed it. Then we're going to have a dip buy set up here for 1166 because that's basically the top of that previous area. And I do want to get involved and I want all the smoke here. So let's see SQQQs. I want to try to get involved here. It might have been a little bit too, not aggressive enough. I might have been a bit too shy. I might be late on this, but if they'll have me, I'd love to hang out with the SQQs. So let's wait and see if I get invited to that party. Mara just kind of chopping and churning. I think I've been rotating my side chart more recently, and I think it's good because it lets me see a plethora of names instead of just like 2 names all morning. So Mara has been kicked on and off the side chart. Let's see how Barrett Gold's doing. I kicked him off the side chart many moons ago, / like probably 10 minutes ago. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy I got out of this trade. I think, honestly, I should reconsider my whole idea of going short that 1672 because that's been pretty consistent. We're below VWAP, so this guy's going to get bye-bye, Mara. We're going to take you back off the chart for the time being. And Barrick Gold, G to the O to the L to the D, taking its spot because I do think that could be an interesting range short if you take that with a certain amount of shares. So still trying to get into the SQQQs. I'm not canceling that order right now because I think there's a potential for it to bop into my area of interest. Also, let's look at Boeing and some of these other flight-related names because I know, shout out to Darwin mentioning and a couple other people in the chat mentioning FAAA. I just said 3 A's because I was so used to the Q's. FAA with 2 A's, grounding some of these Alaskan Airlines flights. However, I do want to clarify as well, Alaska did ask to be grounded by the FAA. FAA, Adara, there's 2 A's. But yeah, so Boeing wanted to look at as well with all of that weakness. This actually could be maybe a flat bottom break at these 168.50s. We're going to have to wait and see. But the reason I say that is we had this move down here. Then we have a high just below VWAP. Lower high again, 169, now an even lower high. So to me, it looks like Boeing could be headed to the downside. But yeah, so again, for that headline, Alaska Airlines did ask the FAA to pause its mainline departures nationwide. So that's the story there with Alaska. Right now, I don't have my eye on much else. That Barrett Gold short is looking like a pretty gold trading opportunity, and I don't want to let that pass me by. I see, though, you're trying to strong arm the market. I am long 110.05s. I'm really not going to give this a whole lot of room because it is a mean reversion counter trend trade, and it's predicated upon the $10 level holding up here. So we'll see what we got. What's up, Katina Man? Hit it, baby. What's the dollar club? AMD. 160 short on AMD. It is at 159 right now. He was long 160. It broke. He flipped. He had the ability to see that, the market was giving him a different look. Didn't matter to him. He's agnostic either way, and he takes the short shout out to the Katina Man. Adara, I'm just going to send it to you while I put my stop. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I'm trying to. Okay, so I can't short Barrett Gold. So that's cool that I don't have to worry about that. SQs, if you want to let me in here, I'm interested. I'm trying to be a little bit less conservative. We're trying to get in part of the position at 70s, the second part of the position at 68s. I want to take this. As I'm noticing the Qs chop and churn to the downside, I do want to take this SQs long. So let's see, look at this. Look at this. I think I'm going to miss my opportunity. We're going to break here, but to me, I want all the smoke, and I think this short could be a nice opportunity to go SQ long. So let's see what happens. Tesla. So here's TSLL, but I'm gonna pull up TSLA for everybody here. Tesla, lower high. I wanna see what we do. I'm not getting involved in this. I have no intention of getting involved in Tesla unless I see something I really like. I really liked this break above VWAP, or at least break above VWAP on the TSLL, and I'm really proud of this trade. So I don't wanna undo that by taking a trade that I feel less confident in TSLL. The main thing I like right now is that that SQs. So that's the main thing I'm looking at. NVIDIA, kind of interesting right now, though, too. I wouldn't trade this one except maybe NVDL, but I want to talk about what NVDA is doing because I think it's kind of interesting to me. Look, we have this move down here, right? Bounce off this 856 area twice. Shout out to Sean for taking that 856 short in the morning.
Bang.
Long in the morning. But look, we still have lower highs on this, and we have a flat bottom. I do not want to say flat bottom break, but I would say be cognizant of that 856 area. Also worth noting too, look at this little support chop and churn area we have at 1030 around 864.70. Look where we find resistance, 864.70. For whatever reason, 864.70, which maybe is a bit of a hyper-specific way of putting it, seems to be some kind of resistance and support area for NVIDIA. Also, Adam Deleuze, thank you so much for the €2 super chat. It's a shout out to Sean. Congrats, Sean, on being able to switch when needed.
Absolutely. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to Adam as well. Arsenal plays today. We play Bayern. I think it's 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, a very tough game for Arsenal. I definitely underestimated Bayern last time. I didn't think their attackers were that fast and we're going to give our defenders that much trouble. I don't think we get caught off guard again this time, knowing how they plan to play us. So I think we do well. The Allianz is a hard place to play. There's no question about that. But Bayern hasn't had a good season. I think Serge Gnabry as well, that punk, for celebrating against his old team. He's injured today too, so there'll be one less attacker down. I wet my beak here on the break of 50 on ARM, so we'll see if this one can hold that 110 level. There was bamboozlement though through the 110 level, so it did dip and stop me out initially. 109.78 LOD on ARM. You had a quick break below 110, then it was immediately bought up. I guess that's what we call a specialist breakdown to get you, or to get the individuals like the idiots like myself who had their stop far too close to the whole dollar level, get them offside, and then pop back up. Well, we were able to exact avenge on this trade by getting a nice little banger there to the high side. So we'll see exactly what we get on ARM at these levels. But yeah, that's an interesting look. Let's have a look at IBIT. What is it doing? So Bitcoin is back above 60,000 again, it looks like, but I won't participate in that for now, Adair.
Yeah, I got out of Mara too early too. Let's see what Mara. Yeah, so I would have gotten my area had I stayed in Mara. So maybe I was a bit too hasty in leaving this. However, we did have that move down in Bitcoin, so I was like, may as well try. Maybe I should do the 5-second rule next time. Like, see something I think about and then. Because if I had done that, if I had waited 5 seconds in Mara recovered that quickly, right? So. Je ne sais pas. Like I said, though, cannot dwell in the past. All I can do is look forward in the future. So yeah, pretty happy with this so far. TSLL/TSLA still looking like a long. I want a decisive break above 632s though on TSLL. For TSLA, I want that decisive break above that 156.40 area, because on both of those, that was a clear area of resistance. We had that pseudo topping tail candle here on TSLA at that point. So that's what I'm keeping my eye out for. Ryan asking about DJT. So let's see what DJT is doing. DJT might be the place to be today, up 13.7%. Look at this, all this consolidation, all this juicy consolidation at the 26 level. This is, Dara, don't do this to yourself. I think this is an interesting look. Earlier we had a little bit of resistance at 25.40, then look where we stop as support, around 25.40. Now we're seeing that resistance at 26. I think this could be an interesting long. I need to see how I feel about this, because this would be definitely a bit of a different kind of trade for me. I would need to take this very cautiously. I would have to have everything locked and loaded. That being said, I think this break above 26 could be a trade that I want all the smoke in. So we're going to consider that. And I think entry point, I like the idea of that 25.60, because that was where we had that topping tail candle. The only thing is I don't know where I put my profit takers, and DJT is not the type of dance I want to do if I don't have an area to leave, right? Like if we're doing the tango and I don't know what, the next dance partner I'm getting thrown to is, what am I going to do? I'm going to fall on the floor on my face. I want to make sure I know what I'm happening. That metaphor got really lost in that DJT. That's what I am looking for. But yeah, right now, trying to get the second part of my fill in the SQQs, ready to take these guys to the upside as the market goes to the downside. And there goes ARM right through 111 into 111.25. Nice curl up off that 110 on ARM. Keep your eye out for these levels, though, here on ARM. So we wet our beak there on some profits on ARM. We were along 1031. This is the look here. Oh, yeah. This is the look on ARM. Let me flip to the 1 so we can keep our eye out on these levels. So this is the level I'll be looking at, that 112-ish,
let's say 111.75 to 112-ish. That was a bit of a low that we had put in during the lower high, lower lows kind of area. I think, you know, and even that 50 period is there as well. And owing to what it did with respect to the 50 period earlier, it rejected off that 50 period area. So I am inclined to maybe feel that we may reject off the 50 period if we make it up there. 111.57 is where the 50 period is on my chart at the moment. Yeah, so that's an interesting look there on ARM. Let's get some other stuff over here. What else we got? Yeah, I haven't traded ARM before, so I was kind of happy to trade this one.
How's the spread on that today? Because I feel like the spread on ARM has been...
Yeah, well, it depends really. Right now it's 10 pennies, but I saw it worse. It was like 20 pennies earlier. It took me forever to get filled at that 110.05, despite the fact the bid was hitting 105 to 110.05 a lot. It took a while because the ask had to cross. Okay, just keeping my eye out on some stuff here. Let's flip to the small cappers, see what they're up to. We haven't looked at them in a minute. Wowzers, UAL, bro, is going. Holy cow, UAL. This is trading like a small capper today, man. $47.38 HOD. It, you know, initially it was hugging the 7. When it broke down below the 7, it respected the 10. The 10 is the 10 period EMA is the solid green line on my chart. Once it broke through the 10 period, it respected 46, so it ended up respecting that whole dollar level, but it really hasn't broken through the 10 period since that time. In fact, the 10 period would have been an excellent dip trade for anybody who wanted to weasel their way into this trade. We initially had resistance at that 46.50 or 46.60. You can see the top over here, and then we ended up breaking through that around 11.15. UAL, man, wowzers. I did not expect this for them today. I think this has been aggressively sold off, likely because of Boeing. Yeah, there's the Boeing dump right there. So where were we? We were actually making higher highs and higher lows until that Boeing dump came. So look at this. From October 31st onwards, from the low there to the high there on UEL, we were up about 44%. And then we gave up how much? From the Boeing dump to this morning's low, we were down about 17 some odd percent. So nice recovery, and we're almost literally back to the highs we made earlier this month before the Boeing dump. So not bad look for UAL. I mean, these stocks have a way of mean reverting, especially if the catalyst, the negative catalyst, wasn't directly to do with them. So anyway, I'm not sure exactly how to take this other than to say get it off the 10 period exponential moving average. But UAL, what a look today. Let's look at some other stuff here. INVO, we were singing this one's praise earlier on, talking about how it was the biggest gapper on the day, but as I look up, I see a new one by the ticker SPEC. I'll get to that in a second, but there you go, the first dip below the volume weighted average price on a closing basis on the day. That is the first time INVO has closed below VWAP on the day. Did wick, a quick wick below it right here at 10 o'clock, but that was just a quick wick, and we closed up above it. We're trying to curl right back above VWAP right now. We'll see what INVO does, but not a bad look, trying to hold up above VWAP. This new one, though, let's look at this, SPEC. This one just getting going here. What is the deets on this one? So, Spectator Holdings, all right, $26 million market cap, small, 4.8 million share float. Not super small, but not big either. Let's put in the ticker. Big topping tail candle. You don't want to see that on these small cap gappers. That typically means they reverse after. It's not a hard and fast rule, just an anecdotal observation I've made over the years. These topping tail candles on small cap gappers are usually a death sentence, confirmed by the breaking of VWAP. VWAP on my chart, $1.43 or $1.45. Thereabouts. We're dipping aggressively off that 217 high now, about to hit that $1.50 on SPEC. Does this thing have a catalyst? There we go. All right. Trading higher by 15% during Wednesday's session after the company announced that it signed a distribution partnership agreement with a Fortune 1000 energy company. Okay, cool. That's all I need to know there. There's a catalyst, and that's all there is to that. There's also this level. So if the 1.5 doesn't hold, you have VWAP, and the reason I like VWAP at $1.43 over here, look at this pre-market high. You always hear me talk about wanting the small cap gapper to have traded above the pre-market high after the bell. Well, that pre-market high is $1.41. VWAP's $1.43. So this may be an interesting dip trade on here. I want to know if SPEC is going to hit that level. I'm going to go ahead and put a notification a couple of shekels above it so that I'm aware, and then we'll see what happens with SPEC, Adira.
Yeah, we'll have to see the specs on specs.
There you go.
I had to. But also, let's take a look at USO. Some people asking about this one in the chat saying it fell. I'm not seeing any news on this right now, but yeah, look at this pseudo volume spike as well on this move to the downside. We did earlier have these crude oil inventories and distillates. Both of those came in higher than expected, so just something to note there. But that was a while ago. That was back at 10:30 during the crypto update. So I don't really know what is happening right now here with USO. If I see anything, I will let you guys know. I did just look it up, checked on Benzinga and on Google. So je ne sais pas, but we will find out. We will keep looking, and it'll be interesting to see if we get kind of any support here on 79 at 79. So let's see how some of these other oil-related ETFs and names are doing. How are we doing on BOIL? Okay, down about 4%. It's kind of rangy. Ooh, Adira, and it's like $12. You could trade BOIL. Okay, I'm talking to myself now here in the third person. That's fun, but I do think this is kind of an interesting range here. I think we might have given up some of it earlier, but that 1288 to 13 area is really nice. You know what? I'm tempted. Nice. I think this might have to have a side chart because I do like the range action that we're kind of seeing. And if we bounce off this 1294, which is the local support resistance area earlier, I think that could be interesting for me. So thank you guys for bringing up oil. If I see anything, I will let everybody know, but certainly a lot of weakness in that area. Microsoft News, says Darwin.
What the hell happened? Yeah, it popped up there weird.
If we got
Russian influence operations targeting, here it is. This came in right at 12. This is brand new. Microsoft says Russian influence operations targeting 2024 U.S. presidential election kicked into gear over the last 45 days. I could have told you that. I mean, obviously there's gonna be some interest from that side of the ocean. Okay, so that's the move there. Popped softy Adira, was trading at 412, 413, rocketed up into 414.80, right back down into that. So it was a quick spike up and then right back down. That's the catalyst for Microsoft.
Yeah, thank you for going over that because I didn't see that right away. Oh, thank you, D'Lo, for saying this to me. So BOIL is nat gas and not oil. You need the futures of natty up for that one. Okay, that's good to know.
Oh, yeah, so it's NG. Do you want me to give you
UNG?
No. UNG is an ETF. There is an NG. Goes, I think it's called, give me 1 second.
Okay.
The Henry Hub Natural Gas. Neil, do we have the ticker for that possibly? Huh? HNU on the... No, we want the futures. Futures, yeah, on the CME. We'll get that. Thanks, Jag. Though.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll look for it.
But yeah, so thank you, D-Loaf, as well, for pointing that one out. I want to take a look at that. Also, Darwin said he saw something different. He was getting antitrust news on Microsoft. I haven't seen any of that right now. We're going to keep an eye on it. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, though. Either way, we did have that massive wick there on Microsoft, which is now trying to, as Sharif sometimes says, give up the ghost on a little bit. Look, yeah, so Microsoft here, we had that wick up, and now we're still continuing down below that 9 EMA. This could be an interesting short. Yeah, Microsoft, certainly, that was a hard move to the upside, and now shrinking back to the downside there for MSFT. I also took out a third of my position in the SQQs. This was planned at the top of that range. If we keep seeing this range break, I'm going to keep dancing here with the SQs as the Qs broke below that earlier area. So I'm pleased as punch. And I look like a demon there when he cut to me there. But I'm really happy with this. I want to keep seeing what we do. Making new highs on the SQs.
Bang. What is going on? Oh, I like it. Everything's tanking, baby. Down into 17.7. Keep your eye on that 17.7. We're only like 13 points away from that. The market on the way down. We're almost 1% down. We started off flat today. I was saying 5,100 defend. Yeah, that was not the right thing to say, maybe 2 hours ago. But yeah, keeping my eye also on ARM, guys. I know the market is tanking, but ARM keeps coming into this 110 level or thereabouts and defending. So I'm not going to try to guess bottoms, but If this ends up holding 110 eventually, then we'll get long back in there to take another trade on this. Good trades on ARM so far. I'd like to have a few more if I can weasel my way off this 110 level. But the market's going to cooperate, and there's a new low of day on the NQ June contract, 17,706, 17,7 incoming, and everything, for the exception of Tesla, on the way down near low of days. I'm talking about everything. I mean Mag 7. Sorry, I should have specified. Tesla, the only one well off the lows, but it was already beaten up the last few days already. Look at NVIDIA breaking into the lows. 850 could be a level today on NVDA. We're only about $3 and change away from that at the moment. So that's another level off which we could play. 17.7 is now the low of day, Adara. So, oh, there goes 17.7. There's no stopping this market from the sell side, baby. Papa Powell. 60,000 won again on BTC, says Neil. Let's bring in BTC over here and see what's popping off. Where are we at? Let me just bring down my BTC chart so it can update. Yeah, we're at 59,917, so we're still fighting these lows. New low of day right now on Bitcoin as it breaks down well below. The Chilean nightmare is pleased as punch. Okay, so we know how he feels. He's short, but we're still fighting a little bit here with 60, a little bit above, a little bit below. We'll see exactly what BTC brings by the end of the day. Down, no. 4.5% today for BTC. Bad look.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. Also, yeah, shout out to Fabian, who is like knows all his crypto stuff, and also as I'm doing the crypto update, he always like peppering in with like useful info and stuff. He taught me all about crypto tokens because I was a little bit confused as to how those work. So that was really cool. So just a quick shout out there to Fabian and Ramin and everybody, because I always sound like I'm giving an Oscar speech, but as you were saying last week, you have to practice gratitude while trading.
Yes.
And you have to do that as well, just for your community. So thank you everybody here in the chat as well. Thank you so much, Terrible Triple Trader. I really appreciate it. I love that name too.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister. But yeah, I still have a piece for the dream in this SQQQ trade, so my NQ short, if you will. I'm really happy with this. I took out some of this around 78s, just as we got near 78s, because I was like, let's prepare. Got out. I want to see us break above 80s with a bit more swiftness. But right now, I don't have a reason to leave, so I'm going to stay in this for the time being. Also, what emboldens me to stay in this is look at this failed wick to the upside of the Qs. That looks a little bearish to me. I think the bears are growling. So if the bears are going to growl, my SQQQ trade has no reason to end, I think, as of right now. This is a little bit more stressful for me because usually I would have already been out, right? Saving a piece for the dream is not something I often do. I often joke about, we're sleeping with our eyes open, or we don't, we're not sleeping, we're just getting in and out of the trade. But this is something I want to practice. Neil was saying to me, be comfortable trying to take a few risks and continue to learn as you go live, and that's one thing I want to be doing. I want to make sure we don't have a top and tail candle here because that would be a bit of a bad side for me. But this fact that we're staying above 80s or below that 427 on the Qs, please just punch. Thank you guys. Thank you to Kyle Burdett and Joanna Brewster for the support there. Yeah, I definitely want to see some printing there. And Kyle Burdett saying the bears are in full rabid froth.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get low. So yeah, they are. I look bullish on the board, but I am bearish the Qs. And Sean is doing a hot dog dance. We know how he feels there too.
It just came back.
Great time.
$3 in the money. Shout out to the Katina man on that AMD. Short, yeah, sorry, I was trading ARM. I got a little confused there. Big jump back up for crypto. So it did dip below 60,000 ever so briefly. Now back up into 60,200. But keep your eye on the volume weighted average price because it rejected off there last time. So the lower highs and lower lows are still in play on BTC, despite the fact we've been fighting with 60. I mean, we could end up seeing 60 come and go today. So we're going to have to wait and see what we get here. All the other Mag 7 names, though, nothing's changed. All of them except for Tesla at low day. And look what Tesla just did. Tesla's absolutely telling the market, go, you know what. Dipped right into the volume weighted average price there at 155.43, got bought right back up. There goes 146. It's literally the only Mag 7 name with an uptrend with higher highs and higher lows. Everything else down and to the right. Apple, Amazon, Meta, Google, even Google was very strong today. Look at it, breaking through 155 is goggles. NVIDIA, I said we can see NVIDIA 850 soon. We saw already low of day, 851. We're $1 away, which is like 10 cents on every other stock. On NVDA, it is now time to load up NVDL here, because if there is something to be had at this $50 level, we want to be ready for it. So let's load up NVDL and see what's good. Still 851 low of day right now. Tesla pumping, but not much else moving. Cling Daddy, AMD broke the anchored VWAP from its November low. Good call. Shout out to you for that. I had an opportunity to set up anchored VWAP, but we'll perhaps talk more about that when we do get back from Neil's lesson of the day.
Of the day brought to you by Real Trading, as always. And when you're making real trades, sometimes there'll be a massive volume spike, a massive volatility move in the middle of the day. Maybe there's news, maybe there isn't. How can you take advantage of it? How can you limit damage? How can you react to it? So what I'm talking about here is not just your regular back and forth, but you're past the open, you're not at the close, maybe you're closer to lunchtime, things have settled down at least a little bit into direction, into a range. And then out of nowhere, you get an outsized move in one stock or a group of stocks at that time. If you see something like this and there's a massive volume spike, as always, you do want to pay attention to if there was news. Now, obviously, if you watch our live show, I mean, we have a news desk. We've got multiple news sources. We have Benzinga up. Shout out to them. So we can see whether in real time if there's news. And if you watch our show, you're going to be able to see if there's something there. But you do want to make sure, first of all, that you know what is causing or maybe not causing a spike and volatility in that particular moment. Because if there is something fundamental that happened, let's just say, I don't know, like Apple got sued, you could throw that out there. Maybe there's geopolitical news. That certainly is going to move the market at times. You might have also had something like a bond auction that you weren't paying attention to. A Fed speaker could have been going. The administration could have said something. There's all these different things out there that could be causing the move. But I want to talk about when you see it and you find nothing. So in that particular case, and I'm talking about a situation, I'm going to come to a chart here just to give you an idea. NVIDIA is a great example. I could pull up, there's a dozen charts I could pull up for the move that happened just before 11 o'clock, but I'm going to show NVIDIA just because everyone likes NVIDIA and because it really exemplifies the point. So NVIDIA was trending down, big movement at the open. You can see the volume, and I'm going to do this to volume so you can really see the volume here. Big volume at the open, and you see a decline in volume as you get closer to lunchtime. This is normal behavior. Everything is completely normal. NVIDIA makes a bottom, bounces, and is consolidating on low volume. Okay, so this is pretty standard behavior past 10, 10:30 going into the middle of the day. Then all of a sudden, and it's not the only stock that did this, you had a hammer candle that broke the lows on a massive volume spike. On a 3-minute chart, you are more than doubling the volume of the last 3-minute chart. You had as much volume here in that 3-minute candle as you did like basically the 3 previous candles combined. So you know something crazy has happened. However, in searching for something to drive this, and this is a 3-minute move, so like there is some time for this, and the consolidation at the bottom is another 3-minute candle on volume. So there is some time to determine that nothing really was causing this in particular. Now, generally speaking, the trend is your friend and you want to follow it. But there's a trade that I know most traders are familiar with the concept of like a rubber band trade. And that can be when something has fallen or moved so much that it gets overextended, overbought, or oversold, and that can be on any time frame. People talk about RSI in a longer time frame, and that can give you an idea of when you might get a rubber band effect on a longer time frame. But in this particular case, the rubber band effect is so quick that I think you're just looking for 2 factors if you want to be playing the other way. And there's another side to this if you're in the short. I'm talking about if you're not in position. If there's no news, no catalyst, and you find yourself with no reason for that move, the rubber band trade is, does it hold the low after the selling is done? Yes, there's your green candle there. Does it provide you with an opportunity? Now, whether you're long in there and you're just super fast, you see reading the tape, great, you can be long in this candle and you can give it to that. Otherwise, you've got this next sort of consolidation breaking back out above. This is about 8:58 on NVIDIA. The local bottom's 55.5. The higher low is about 56.5. So depending on how you want to trade it, $1.50 to $2.50 worth of risk in NVIDIA. And it started out at $8.65. So it's got room to rubber band it about $8 or $9, not banded, but rubber band the move back up, $8 or $9. So it's a good risk to reward proposition. The key thing about this, if you're going to enter a trade based on this, you need to be relatively certain. I'm talking, you're never 100% certain in this game, but I'm talking like 90 to 95% certain that there wasn't some big fundamental cause for this drop. If you have that certainty in the 4 or 5 minutes that you have a chance to observe this bottom, that's where you can look for it. It's a risk to reward trade. You're going against the grain, but you're just simply looking for that liquidity volume vacuum to the downside to just find some relief to the upside. Now, obviously, it continues the trend after the fact, so it's a short-term trade. The other side of this is what happens if you're short. Now, clearly, AMD post facto is going to end up going lower. But in the actual move, I actually got out of a short in AMD because there was no news, and I was thinking there would be a rubber band trade. So when it did snap back, I was already geared towards taking that profit out. And it just comes down to what are you trying to accomplish in your trade when the news hits or doesn't hit and you get a massive volume spike. The correct action, in my estimation, is to look for a reaction. What decision should I be making? Is my decision to get out of a short if you happen to be in the money of the direction? Is it to hold through because there is fundamental news that worked out in my favor? Is it the case that I want to back off, look for the bounce play, don't short the bottom, there's no news, I want to go long? There's many decisions you could be making when you have something like this happen. The key thing is, as a trader, is whether you've done it before or not, what decision do I want to practice doing and which is the best that fits me? If you're going with the trend, maybe you're taking profit on that short, you're looking for the rubber band so you can short another high. If you're a counter trend trader, maybe you're looking for that bottom right in here on, it happened on a lot of stocks, it could be AMD, it could be NVIDIA, heck, I can put up ASML. For technical traders, you would have loved it on ASML. Same moment, this stock wicked $900. So if you were looking, if you're a mean reversion trader, look at this hammer candle on ASML, which reported earnings. Broke 900, came right back above. This is a consolidation at 902. You could be long 902 with a 900 stop. It goes to $912. It just depends on your style of trade. Now, if there had been bad news and look, if the world is falling apart or there's geopolitical news, you're not going to hop on the bid in that situation. But once you've determined whether you're in scenario A or scenario B, no news or news, then you can react accordingly. And that goes whether you're in position or not, whether you want to make a trade or not, whether you want to learn to trade and take a paper trade because you're not even going live yet, then just make sure you do it. Because these types of volume events or spikes are opportunities. In the middle of the day, you're not going to get a lot of them, and when they happen, where you can get a trade or a move as big as you would at the open or close, you want to have something in your toolbox so that you can take advantage of it. The rubber band trade is one that a lot of people put on, but you've got to be careful doing it because it often means fading a very, very big move in the other direction. So be sure of yourself, be sure that you have the news or no news correct, and that is your lesson of the day. Big volume spikes, big volatility spikes out of nowhere, you can take advantage of them. Just make sure you do it right.
Oh, that's sure.
Hi.
Oh, hello, we're back.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, hi, Ram. Yeah,
I like the
you got the
hands cameo.
full in there that time. I like that.
Good times.
Yes, thank you very much, Neil. Ram was forcing us to do a TikTok while Neil was dropping hot lines, so excuse us if we were unready for the return. Guys, as Neil was dropping hot lines on the lesson of the day with Neil, we did drop below 17.7 on the future. In fact, low of day right now is 17.678 on the future, and we are headed right back down again. It looks like we're below 17.7 right now. Yeah, let's bring in the futures chart over here. This is what we've been looking at, guys, the entire morning. You don't have to be a chartered market technician to see this trend down and to the right with sequentially lower highs and lower lows on the future. We are at a critical level, though, the 100-point level charted by technicians as key areas of support and resistance. We'll see if we end up holding at this level. We're flirting with it right now, though. Adair, you had an excellent trade on the SQQQ.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd like to talk about it. Thank you for giving me that opportunity.
First.
So I got involved here at the base. I kept kind of build this position so I'd have enough to get this out in thirds because I knew I wanted that breakout and I wanted to make sure I was prepared for that breakout. And I think, and this is part of what Sean says, being a scared trader is a deficient trader. Also, shout out to John Szymanski in the chat saying earlier that chances make champions, which I think is a really fun quote as well. So I wanted to get involved in this. I knew I wanted the trade. I knew that it had proved itself to me, so I said I want to get involved. I got a part of this at the 73 area. The initial plan was to add back into this to kind of range it a bit before the breakout. Alas, we did not have time for that. The SQQQ say, bye, Adair, we're leaving with or without you. So we go. I still have 2/3 of the position. I got out some at the 78s, and I'm proud of myself because it's not like, oh, we got to 78s and I got out. We were at 76s, and I noticed, hey, this could be the end of the movement. Let's take out another third here. Took out another third at 78s. Then I didn't want to get out right away. So what I kind of did here was I was watching and I was waiting. And I noticed we back down from 80s a little bit, then we break a little bit below 80s. That's when I get out. Also worth noting too, shout out to, I was already out of the trade by this point, I think a couple seconds before, but JF Trader putting in the chat that apparently bearish divergence was showing up on the MACD around that level. So now it looks like we're back up, but happy I got out where I did, and shout out to JF Trader for letting me know. What a great community we have. If we keep chopping and trading like this, I'm okay with getting back in right now. And I say that because what I'm seeing on the Qs that had me get into that initial SQ trade is the same thing I'm seeing now. Chop and turn, chop and turn, chop and turn below that 9 EMA, swoop to the downside. Hwadunk, as Sharif might say. Right now, I was going to say that's my only trade, but I'm back in the TSLLs. So I am back in that, trying to add a little bit at 25s. If we break below here into 20s, I'm getting out. So basically using the area that I used to enter for the long as my stop loss for the short. I want to take some out here at 32s. I have enough to piece in and out of this position. So pretty happy with how this is going so far. I think really just trying to take more opportunities and take some chances within reason. And honestly, it's been a pleasure trading live these 3 days so far. And I'm excited to keep
happy
going.
that you're happy.
But I see you have a bit of IBIT.
I did, because we broke above the volume weighted average price, rejected off 61,000, and then came into VWAP. So I'm trying to VWAP dip. Oh, got me right out there. I had a really tight stop, that's why. So we just tried a little quick scalp trade to no avail. That's all right there. We're going to start looking... yeah, I mean, everything really. I should have been looking short a lot earlier than this, but everything headed to the downside. And I think we could take out bottoms here on a lot of the different Mag 7 names, Apple included. We just touched the volume weighted average price yet again. Shout out to the Katina man on NVDA. $3 in the money now for the Katina man on his AMD short. Keep your eye on the Katina man's trade by going over to our other channel, More Trader TV. You'll see his trades, you'll see Neil's trades, all their entries, all their exits, everything is going to be going on there. We're short Apple, just wet our beak there through the low of the day yet again on AAPL. Everything headed down, and here's NVIDIA 850. For whoever wants NVIDIA 850, it is here right now, 850.01. Forget about that, 849. It just dropped $1 in one move on NVDA. This thing is on the way down. What a red day on the day today. So 849 low of day on NVIDIA. Tesla at the volume weighted average price last time, it was at 155.50. It did find a bit of a bounce. Let's have a look at TSLA here, but I don't know if anything is going to be spared from this down move here on the market in general. Let's keep an eye on TSLA, because if there is a bounce, I want to jump into this. Dan, the man, Emmons, Sharif, Sean, Caps Lock. I'm still NQ short, 220 plus points in the money. Shout out to Dan, the man, Emmons. Great trade there. I know you had one of your better days on Monday. The Katina man is now short NVDA as it breaks 850 with viciousness, baby. Everything headed to the downside there.
Also, yeah, quickly too, I want to get to that thing we had Darwin mentioning this this antitrust-related news from Microsoft. It just came up here on Benzinga. So basically, its $3 billion OpenAI deal is not going to be probed formally by the EU because the regulators don't see any evidence of Microsoft controlling OpenAI and that the formal probe could have risked the EU order to unwind the tie-up. So basically, Bloomberg reporting that. Thank you, Darwin, for initially bringing this to our attention. That is the story. And I see what you mean. I think Tesla might be suffering a little bit here. I'm still watching. I'm in TSLA, but I'm still TSLL. Sorry, but I'm still watching its big sister. And honestly, I think that it's. Oh my gosh, Siri, I'm really
She's
not.
She's always
talking to you.
interrupting. She really needs to be a little bit more polite, because you know.
But yeah, so TSLA holding VWAP nicely, but there is this topping tail candle that maybe or I guess more of a doji that maybe I should have paid a little bit more attention to before hanging out with its little sister TSLL. But right now, we're not stressful right now. We're just hanging out. We're ready. What is face slapping, NVIDIA?
What happened, Katina man?
Short 850 NVIDIA, Sean Still. So now he's in the money on that. That is for sure. He's in the dollar club. He is partying it up. Yeah, this is a really nice look here. I might want to look at this NVDL. It's the continued move to the downside there. Shout out to Sean and his dollar club trade for NVDA 850. Congrats also to Joanna Brewster having SQs at 1137. Hold it. Wow, congrats to you. You got involved here basically at the top of this earlier range. This is a great look. Congrats to you. I'm sure you are raking in the money on that. This, like I said, I might get back involved in this if we kind of see this continued move to the downside. Honestly, though, congrats to you. This is that's a fantastic trade. So happy to be able to learn and grow along everybody here. How is Tesla going?
Just literally just got in right now. Gonna try my hand at this VWAP dip long here. We'll see what we get on TSLA. We're trading TSLA. We'll see exactly what were we long? We're long 52, so we're just right at the volume weighted average price. I guess if it makes a newer low here, I'll just get out, but looking for a nice move up off the volume weighted average price. It's been a good support level all day, but the market wasn't this low last time we were down at these levels on Tesla, so we might give up the ghost here. A bit of a riskier trade. Daryl Finch got a quarter left to cover on Meta. Just covered a bid at 490. Give me that 488. We'll give you that 488, sir. We got 489.98 LOD, and you just did get into support level 2 on META. And if you're using pivots, this is what I'm talking about here. Red line is support level 1. Orange line, support level 2, you're bouncing off that level. Probably has more to do with a $10 level than it does with anything else. But interesting look here on Meta. Shout out to you, my man. Big down day for Meta today, 1 3/4%. Likewise with Softy, 0.75% to the downside. And then Amazon, yeah, not to be outdone either, 1.12% in the negative. What a move down here for some of these names. Let me just put a beak wetter up here and see if we can get something on that TSLA VWAP dip. Big Kyle Burdett, a strong, rigid name today is Grinder. Oh, God, come on. All right, keep your eye on that, says Big Kyle. He's been looking at things other than the futures. You're always trading the ES and the SPA, Kyle. Nice to see you looking at some equities. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett. Pretty Panda. Oil crashing. Everyone thinks it's the end of the world. Well, I wouldn't mind oil coming down, to be honest with you, because if you live in Ontario, yeah, you pay up the yin-yang in tax, thanks to our leaders. 3% to the negative today for the CL June contract, hovering around 82 1/5 is the WTI West Texas Intermediate.
Out there in West Texas with that oil. I don't know why I tried to do a southern accent there, but yeah, West Texas, out at the West Texas Intermediate there.
Bang.
With a very non-intermediate move. So nice look on that. I'm still in this TSLL. I like how you're in the Cybertruck and I'm in the Model 2. I'm in the discount model here, and we're both in Tesla, trying to ride this one to the upside. We're holding this really well, and this is that previous area of support that I really liked. So we're gonna have to wait and see on this. I am interested, like I said, taking out some of this at 31, saving a piece for the dream at about 35. So we're going to have to see if Tesla gives us any of that. But I do want all the smoke. I want that Roadster 0 to 100 experience that Elon promised. And I want it right here.
I remember how quickly he said.
Oh, yeah, and like was it less than a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I'm having trouble believing that.
Also, I will say it's been really, I mentioned this before, I really enjoy going on Tesla Bull Twitter because they are very passionate people who are really excited about Elon Musk. And they are all afire right now with this, they're very pro re-voting to reinstate Elon's package.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's definitely an interesting look on that. Like I said, I find it really interesting just to see people who are very into Tesla advocating for their case. And it is a pretty large community, the Tesla Bull Twitter community. So yeah, interesting look if you're kind of interested in the psychology of shareholders with regards to what's going on with Elon. But also, right now, right now, just still in Tesla, what else is happening here? NVIDIA trying to come back up. Shout out to Sheeran, he's saying, basically asking why I was interested in shorting NVIDIA. Right now, I think I would probably have to wait. I want to see what we do here as we come into that previous area of resistance at 852. This could be a short. I want to wait and see. But again, if I did take it, I would be taking it at that out on the NVDL. But also, though, we do have to give a shout out to our sponsors at Pandimensional. And I'm going to get that up here. They have a very cool website. Look at this. You can move this. I was seeing this through Ramin. You can actually move this on the website. So very cool website
really cool. Here
from our sponsors at Pandimensional. And you can actually, here's what they have to offer here. Because researching and strategizing in the stock market doesn't have to be that difficult. Because with your personalized AI investing co-pilot from Pandimensional, you can easily discover stocks and effortlessly test and execute your strategy ideas. Get quick and digestible stock market insights with Pandimensional's AI chatbot, and backtest and forward test strategies with Pandimensional's AI Stimulator, all in a beginner-friendly platform, and you can try it now for free. And look, again, guys, look at this cool website.
As long as it's effortless, Derek, because I don't want to put any effort. Right? You said effortless, and I'm holding it to it. Guys, TSLA, nice hold at that 155. Good trade, Adara. At that 155 area, the volume weighted average price, kind of, I don't want to say a predictable area, but it did have an obvious level of support there. Initially, I wanted to see if we were going to touch 156, but alas, the market is more bearish than it is bullish today, despite the fact that Tesla has been kind of just trying to get off bottoms there. We'll see if we can make it up into 156. Already wet my beak there on some profits. Let's see what everybody else is up to in the chat. Honestly, anything you guys are looking at there that's interesting? Not seeing too much in the way of tickers, so we'll just let that one go. Apple, new low of day, 168.60. This one not stopping its descent down. Is AAPL on the way down? It goes. And yeah, we were dancing with this name multiple times today. Covered that short there at the low of day at 168.60. Right back into that level we go. But it really is more about Tesla now for me than anything else. Just keeping my eye on that. Let's look at these small cap gappers. Make sure that nothing's moving there without our knowledge. Yeah, nothing really doing here. UAL still doing things though. Tried to hold 47 bucks, so UAL may be still tradable today to the high side, despite the fact the overall market is negative.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting when things are moving opposite from the market. And remember when I was really first starting, one thing that I believe it was Neil said as well, though I've heard this kind of across the board, is like, if you're noticing something is moving opposite of how the market's moving, take note of that. And that should be the type of thing. Bless you. So I think that's one thing I do want to be cognizant of. Also something I want to be cognizant of, beyond the fact that I am, much like Sharif, still in the Cybertruck, or in my case, the Model 2, ready for a continued move to the upside. Mara, look at this double bottom at 35. So I took it the first time, I missed it the second time. But if we reject here, this actually could be an interesting short for me. I need to see what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin having a similar double top. Actually, instead of a double bottom, I'm going to pull this up. Bitcoin doing more of a double top here at that 60, just above 61,000 level, right? So that's something I want to be absolutely cognizant of and aware of, and something I want to take advantage of if I have the impetus and the opportunity to do so. I want to wait and see what we do with 65s. Like I said, if I had stayed in that long, which I got out of because we had to move down in Bitcoin, I would have been trying to get out just below 60s, because that was that previous area of resistance that we could not eclipse in this wick here at 1105. If we reject this area again, someone's going short. And that someone is me.
All right, I got to get out of my position here because we're going to start the lesson. So flatten out a nice little profitable winner there on TSLA. Let's start that lesson. The day we're talking about small cap trading all week, baby. Today, no different. Today, we're going to get to the volume as the focus of our lesson. Specifically, we're talking about volume spikes. Volume spike surprise, not just volume spike, it's got to surprise you, right? So today's lesson tackles the exciting yet tricky world of volume spike surprise, identifying sudden surges in trading volume that might signal a shift in momentum, especially for small cap stocks. So buckle up, these opportunities can be fleeting, but potentially quite lucrative. So again, we gotta define the most basic stuff. What is a volume spike surprise? For all those noobs out there, imagine a small cap stock trading sideways for a while. Suddenly, the volume explodes. This is what a volume spike surprise is. Kind of little on the nose, right? The key question we need to ask ourselves is, does this spike signify a hitting buying spree or a mass sell-off? So that's really the key question here, so we know whether to go long or short. And why is the volume spike surprise important to small cap trading? Well, volume is the lifeblood of any market, small caps included. A sudden increase in the volume can indicate a change in investor sentiment, how they feel. Something might have come in midday that changes the overall sentiment. You see the future tank yesterday when Powell started talking about, he's not seeing the interest rates having the same type of effect, might have to be higher for longer. Boom, the market started tanking and has continued to tank since then. So that is the change in sentiment there. I thought you were going to hit the... I don't want to interrupt. Yeah, hit it. This is important. It's a trading show. What is it? Here you go. He wants to drop cash, baby. The Katina Man is short NVIDIA 852. Make sure to follow the Katina Man and Neil's trades on more Trader TV Live. And $4 in the money on AMD, the little sister of a... And he's also short IBIT there. You can see that on the right side of the screen. 34.64. Shout out to the Katina Man. Neil also short Peloton. Another bad day for Peloton there as they try to survive, quite frankly. Yeah, sad a little bit there. All right, back to the lesson we go, guys. So why is it important? Because we said a volume spike can change sentiment. It can even be midday. It doesn't have to be, after the bell or before the bell or whatever. And for small cap stocks, where news and events can have a more significant impact on price action, a volume spike can be a surprise harbinger of potential price movement. The challenge, though, lies with deciphering the reason behind the spike, and that brings us to the next topic, distinguishing the good from the bad. And so kind of prefaced that whole idea there of deciphering the good from the bad with the reason behind the spike. And so let's talk about the informational volume, right? This surge is often triggered by news releases, example, earnings reports, product launches, whatever. Analyze the news. Ask yourself, is this news positive or is it negative? If it's positive, a volume spike could signal a good buying opportunity, right? If it's negative, maybe you should be looking towards that short end. But keep in mind that small cap stocks sometimes they're not readily shortable. You may need to secure them from your broker. So within the context of taking small cap stocks short, keep that in mind. They may not be readily available depending on your broker, and you may have to secure them, okay? That's not the only thing, though, under the distinguishing good, bad topic. We're talking about buying and selling pressure here. So a spike with increasing price might indicate strong buying pressure, potentially leading to a price upswing. Conversely, a spike with declining price could suggest heavy selling, foreshadowing a downtrend. So keep that in mind. Here's an example of a bullish volume spike. You're stuck within a range. Then all of a sudden the volume comes in there. You break out through that range. Similarly over here, you have more of a horizontal range rather than a downward channel. But the same holds true. When that volume spike comes in, you get that break through that key area of resistance. But not all news is created equally, sadly. And so there are other pitfalls that we can encounter. One of them is the fake news. So malicious actors might do things like spread false information to manipulate stock prices and trigger what they call a short-lived volume spike. I went through kind of like how this typically happens. What they do is they release a news catalyst that is good or bad, doesn't matter, for the small cap they want to manipulate. That gets released through a press release agency. It usually costs you some money, a few $1,000, and then other press agencies pick up on that if they like it. Sometimes it's done, I think, automatically, and then all of a sudden it filters into everybody. And so then you have this fake news catalyst kind of come out. That doesn't happen often, though, and when it does happen, it's mostly small caps. That's not the only reason that there could be pitfalls. Profit taking as well, very important. A sudden increase in volume could be exiting investors, cashing out, not new money entering the stock. So that's another problem there. And if you have to be able to tell whether this is profit taking, and a lot of that has to do with whether we're at key areas of resistance, whether the volume is negative, et cetera. And also look for continuation, right? Once you have your volume breakout, see if this influx in volume continues. Fading volume in an uptrend can mean that the trend is weaker than it seems and that selling may be on the horizon. Are we still tanking? What are we doing here? I didn't even look. $4 in the money on AMD, $4 in the money on NVIDIA. It is not a good day to be a chip stock today, I'll tell you that. Down and to the right they go, baby. Big day in red world for these microchip stock. 4.5% in the negative for AMD, 3% almost now for NVIDIA. The worst hit, though, is ARM at 10%, followed by ASML, a cool 8%. So everything really negative in that world. So if you're looking for something to short, it's probably these bad boys. And there is, thank you, Adair, for adding these in. There you go, a strong uptrend followed by increasing volume. But then, look at this, you have an uptrend weakening. So despite the fact you're making higher highs and higher lows, you're getting that drop in volume. And that might be signaling to you that the price may be over here. The price action to the high side may be over. So here's some strategies for the volume spike surprise. So here's how you approach it. First and foremost, identify the cause, investigate the reason behind the spike, use news sources, use social media sentiment analysis, and even the level 2 and the time in sales if available to you to understand the driving force. And confirmation is key. I mean, I can't really stress this enough. Don't jump in blindly. Look for confirmation from price action and other technical indicators before entering a trade. Does the price movement align with potential cause of the spike? Or is the news catalyst completely unrelated, yet there's a move anyway? So be aware of that. And be quick and decisive. Volume spikes can be short-lived, especially on the small. What is going on over there? Oh, someone's printing a factory over there. Yeah, but what's happening is the market's tanking, Katina, man. That's exactly what's going on. Everything is headed down. We might even see 5,000 today on the ES. Who knows? Let's get back into the lesson. We're almost done here. Be quick and decisive with respect to your small cap trades because they're around for a short time, not a long time. If your research suggests a buying opportunity, be ready to act fast. Conversely, have a plan to exit if the momentum doesn't confirm your thesis. So you should always have a plan before you enter your entry, your profit taker, and your stop loss. We've covered that in previous versions of the lesson as well. And just a couple of things to remind you of. Volume spike surprises are absolutely risky. Do your due diligence before trading them. Proper risk management strategies are absolutely necessary when trading small cap trades. Make sure you're using stop loss and consider paper trading small caps before you ever use real money, just so you can kind of figure out the way they operate and see where you do well and where you don't do that well. What's going on over there, Adair? How's that Mara trade look?
I'm just like frozen watching it. Mara requires all your attention. She's very high maintenance. She's like, if you're gonna trade me, you need to know what I'm doing. I got involved in this potentially a little bit early at 40s, 43 to be precise, because I did think at that point we were kind of holding well. I was noticing a bit of an uptick in some of these other mining and Bitcoin-related names. But now Bitcoin dropping down a little bit. That being said, Mara holding this 35 area like a glove. If we break below this, I'm out. If we keep holding this, I kind of want to add a skosh to this position, trying to scalp some of this out. If we get above into that 50s area, I think I'm gonna have to cut this short, though I don't like that we're kind of dipping below here. It's hard. I feel like the one thing I'm really working on in trading, and I've said this, is that balance between when a risk makes sense and when it's like you know what I mean? Like that balance between risk and reward, and how do you strike that, I guess, in trading? I don't know. I don't know what I think at this point we're gonna have to be pretty cautious here. And I'm trying not to trade this off P&L either. That's the other really hard part I find, is because I was really proud of what I did with that Qs trade. I don't want to undo it with this Mara trade, but also I did like the setup at a time. I do think this range to some extent is still holding up. So that's the kit and caboodle here with Mara. You got out of NVIDIA? Sean got out video with the majority of his position there on NVDA. Nice. That's awesome. That's like a $7 winner. $7 winner, says Sean. Still an AMD, though. He is still in NVIDIA's younger cousin or sister, AMD, which is down a cool 5%. Ashraf was saying the chips have been impacted in different ways, but none of them are basically safe from the flush as of right now. Also, I'm super happy to go out of TSLA when I did, and let me talk about this. So I got out a little. Initially, I said I was going to wait for 20s, but then I was like, Adara, we're seeing a bit of a downturn. We're seeing a bit of a flush in the market. Get out while you still can. So I got out, lost a couple pennies on that. Still positive on TSLA overall, because we did have those trades earlier. And again, I think the biggest thing, and if anyone has any advice for ignoring P&L and just trading based on your strategies, definitely let me know, because that's one thing I still think I'm really working on, is just trying to trade, stocks because I like them and not because I'm trying to protect profit or anything like that, right? So yeah, right now I'm still happy with Mara. We're still holding this level really well, and BTC is on her way back to the upside. So with that in mind, if Bitcoin's going to hike back up, I'm going to add to this position. Happy with what I have, not adding any more. If we break below this 30s area, I am out of Mara, but I'm comfortable with the trade, and I'm ready for this one to do the marathon run to the upside.
Yes, sorry, I'm just still entering some stuff here.
No worries,
I'm just going to have to give it to you for a second.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I can keep talking.
Yeah.
Also, Google's still green, LOL, says chill vibes. Yeah, I mean, the market really reacting positively to this note. We had a couple analyst upgrades here, but we did have an interesting note with regards to Google coming from Canaccord Genuity, saying that they're bullish on Google's positioning in the world of AI, which is, I think, especially interesting, given that we're not usually hearing a lot of great stuff from Google's AI, given the Gemini fiasco from a couple months ago now, right? It's crazy, time flies. But yeah, so that thing from, I believe, February has not necessarily been seen as a positive note for Google, but Google, though it is selling off, is still green. Market really liked that note there from Canaccord Genuity. They also got a price target increase from Truist. So some bullishness there definitely for Google from some analysts there. And you're right, like this is the one positive name we still have on these markets right now. Mara kind of a bit of a move down here, but we're more or less like flat. So, and not flat. I'm not flat. I'm slightly down on this position, but Bitcoin hasn't really made a new low yet. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for. I wanted that 30s bounce. We bounced off 30, so I'm staying in this for now, but we will have our trigger finger ready to go should we need to punch out in a jiff. Also, thank you to Thomas for bringing this up, and I also had this ready to go. We do have that 20-year auction coming in a couple I almost said couple pennies. Wow, trading brain. A couple moments here. In about 13 minutes, we'll be getting that 20-year auction. We will let you guys know when you see it. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes for us to get it on our end. But if anyone sees it, definitely let us know. Happy I stayed in Mara and didn't panic sell, because we're getting that move back to the upside. And I had no reason to leave, so I didn't want to leave too early. Bitcoin, you want to stay above 60,000? Power to you. Right now, just hanging out in that trade, trying to get my scraping and scalping this up into the VWAP area.
Daryl Finch, Sharif, Adara just got out of Meta, grabbed my last cover, 488. It can keep going down, but happy with my trade. Thanks, guys. Shout out to you, Daryl Finch, killing it. Big Kyle Burdett. Spend the freaking money, man. Short $5+, big boy size all the way down. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett, absolutely killing it with the Katina man over there. Everybody printing, dump it. Everybody's yelling. Kevin Mendoza says, let's go. Thomas Johnson, letting us know about the bond auction. Jay Lee, I knew I should have shorted the TQQs this morning. Regretting it now. Honestly thought we might pop up $1 or so before this. Huadunk. Yeah, it is a tough one out there. Shout out to you, Jay. Let's see, market bouncing a little bit here off that 17,615 back into 17,640. But like I kind of feel that, you know, most of the pops that we're going to get today are going to be debt cat bounces. We're going to have to keep eyes on that. Tesla back into the volume weighted average price yet again. So what do we do here? Do we short Tesla at these levels? Because last time we were taking the longs on volume weighted average price positively to good effect. Now, do we flip the other way? Now, do we look at Tesla as a short off pops into VWAP? 155.50, that's where it is right now. It's coming right back into that level. Nice bounce off for Tesla there as it broke that 155 quite decisively on that way down. Took us down into 154 3/4 on TSLA. But right through VWAP it goes. And let's do some analysis here on some of these. Oh, we missed Amazon 180. That was a mistake. So Amazon 180 should have been on my radar because that is the $10 level on a Mag 7 name. So I would have wanted to have eyes on that. Right up it goes, 50 pennies off that. Nice little bounce there on AMZN into the $half level. It did break 180 though, so you would have had to give it a little bit of room. 179.82 technically the low there on AMZN. It's been getting beat up today, 1.6% to the negative without much of a pop. Apple also bouncing off 168 for whatever reason. It found some support there, but the thing about Apple though, any pops into the 10-period moving average have been sold off. So if this one makes it into maybe a 168.60 or something, we're going to have to look to short this one again. AAPL also, you know, not spared from the redness that is engulfed the market on today, Adara.
Yeah, I mean, also not spared from the redness are a lot of these crypto names and crypto itself. But I have to say, I'm so happy I didn't panic sell this, Mara.
Nice.
This is a lesson for me. Because I was really, the second we dipped a little bit below, I was like, I have to preserve my P&L. I don't know why I did that voice. And I was ready to sell. And it was like, but Adara, don't trade it based on that. If you still feel comfortable with your area, look at this triple bottom. If you still like what you liked that got you into the trade, if that impetus is still there, why are you leaving Mara hanging out to dry? Don't dine and dash. You're gonna take Mara to the upside. Take Mara to the upside within reason. I am going to be cognizant though if we get that lower high. That is one thing I'm noticing. So that I am aware of. We're trying to get out another third of this at 50s. Got out some of this at 45s, which is basically a scalp move. We were struggling with 45s a little bit. I said Adara take some profit here. I'm going to change this next out to 49s because I don't like how we're waffling around here. I am not in the Waffle House. I would not like to order waffles. I would like to order some decision and some decisiveness and a viciousness from my Mara. So let's get this going. We are also entering, though, I want to put this out here for myself, a little bit of an area here of resistance earlier on the 5-minute on Bitcoin. So as we get to that area, that's where I need to be cognizant of maybe offloading a little bit of this MARA position. I don't know if we're going to get 49s, but that is where I'm trying to go. Then I still have a piece for the dream should we have any more oomph. But I'm wondering, I think this Mara is getting a little bit weaker here, so I might need to get out. I'm honestly, the biggest thing here, for me, the biggest takeaway from this is I'm very happy I didn't panic sell because that was a big, to me, I think a big W. Sometimes the W's aren't in your P&L.
Nice.
They're in your heart, and I sound like a very bad Hallmark movie, but I do mean it. So there we go.
Very good. I like that. Yeah, hey, getting emotional there and talking real. I like that. I'm looking at shorting Tesla still at the 50-period moving average as it breaks into that 156 area. So last time around at the 50-period, we definitely stalled out a little bit and then moved right back down. The 50 period's at 156.06 or thereabouts. So we're going to look to short TSLA here, but I don't want to take this short at a resting, with a resting order is what I'm trying to say. I want to see some negativity come in at that level to prove to me, okay, well, this is a level that others are looking at as well. So looking for the short here on Tesla. The other short I'm looking at is this short at 168.60 here on AAPL. All the retracements into the 10-period moving average, exponential moving average have all sold off. So maybe we'll put some dip trade, well, they're not dip trades, I guess they're pop trades, I guess, in that case. On AAPL, where is my Apple trade? There we go. So what is the level that I wanted? I wanted 60s. All right, we'll keep an eye, though, on the future, because if the future starts changing, its tune over here, then we don't want that heat either. So let's go ahead and put a resting short. I'm going to put it at 58s, and we'll see if we get the short there at 58. It might go without us, but that's fine. Also looking at Tesla, it's almost at my entry over here. We'll look to short at 156 a day.
Yeah, I was looking at the, I was also kind of looking at that area, though, on my TSLL, and which is going to be it's not an exact analogy, but the 156 is around that 630. So that's what I'm looking at for sure. I want to see what we do here. We struggled with that area earlier. That was going to be part of my target here, but I got long earlier, and then happy I got out of that long where I did. But yeah, I've been watching that TSLL all day, so this is something I do definitely want to keep an eye on and be apprised of. Also, yes, Mara, I took out some of this earlier here at around 46s because we were stalling a little bit. I want to see us take 50s with the viciousness. That's the one thing that Mara cannot do right now. Its acme as of the last few 5-minute candles has been 49s. So Mara, I'm not going to motivational coach. I'm not going to force you, but I'm just going to say, hey, Mara, if you want to make this move to the upside, I'd be pleased as punch to see that happen. Let's see what occurs here. Also, the Hayes record saying hi. Sorry I haven't been around. It's okay, you know. Lots happens. We're always happy to have everybody here. Apex Futures evaluation, working on that. So shout out to you for that. Let me see what else people are, any other stocks people are taking a look at here as we get ready for 5 minutes until that 20-minute bond auction. And then also we will have the lesson of the day one more time. Also, if anyone's seeing any small caps right now, speaking of that lesson of the day, will definitely let us know. Are there any new movers?
There is. There's INVO. Well, not new because INVO is kind of a rinse and repeat trader. But I mean, UAL really there. I know it's not a small cap stock, but that one has been in play, and it is awfully close to highs for a stock that, number one, has been beat up a lot lately. Number two, has an association with Boeing. And number three, the market's at lower days, but UAL wouldn't have known it. 47.66 HOD. We're trading at 47.41 right now. So interesting look there for UAL. But it was INVO here that's really been kind of trying to hold up. It has been at VWAP for a lot of this afternoon. It really touched VWAP for the first time at 1140. So for a large majority of the show over here, it's been dancing at these levels. That's a good thing because it's not giving up the ghost on VWAP. So this could be, you know, another interesting pop into the afternoon. 350 high. We're less than $1 away from that. Trading at 2 2/3 right now on INVO. I'm not going to jump in here, but nice bounce off the 50, and the 50 and VWAP are getting awfully close. But it's kind of hard to ignore this discernible trend here with lower highs, lower highs, lower highs with a flat bottom. This is yelling flat bottom break. And how many times have we seen that on these small cap gappers where the bottom just comes absolutely off and then it tanks like quite a bit. So we'll keep eyes on that. TSLA short printing here. Got some out there. Where did dipped into 60s. Like a little bit more than that, maybe something around the 50 penny area. We'll cover a little bit more. The whole short here on TSLA was a rejection of the 50 period. That was the idea behind this. We rejected the 50 period earlier on the pop on Tesla when we were dancing with it here from 1150 to around 1215. And then it was a move down and breaking below VWAP. We kind of retraced into it again over here, and that's what precipitated me to get into TSLA short, looking for a bigger move down though.
Yeah, I mean, you honestly definitely could get it. I think that TSLA still looks good. I didn't get involved in the TSLL just because I wasn't feeling as passionately about it as you were. And I think one thing, too, that I've learned through our I've talked to, I think, a lot of people about this as well, is that, like, if you don't have the passion, and actually you're the main one who
you and I were talking about that.
Yeah, that was, I was trying to remember who I was talking to about that, but it's like, if you don't have the passion for a trade, why are you taking it, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's why I love Sean's sticky notes, because those are all levels that he feels really passionate about. He wants to share those levels that he feels passionate about. And I think to me that's really important. That was a huge thing I learned from that conversation is I can see, I totally, like, I get why you took that trade and you just pumped your fist about it. So I know there'll be lots of positive stories there, but I I didn't feel like the heat and the zing for that Tesla trade, right? Like this Mara, I'm really proud of it. I felt the interest in it. I'm happy I stayed with it, but that Tesla, that trade wasn't for me right now, right? And so I think that to me is really key, just making sure that you have, not bringing necessarily emotion into the trade, but making sure that you feel passionate about the strategy you want to execute.
Fair.
Because if you feel the passion, you're going to be more committed to executing and staying in it. And that's why I stayed in Mara. So that is, without further ado, Tesla?
Oh yeah, we covered at the 50 penny level,
Nice.
as I said I would, 55 pennies actually. The whole idea here, well, was just to take the scalp. I mean, Tesla's, I don't want to call it a counter trend trade because it is still down 0.85% on the day, but it's making higher lows, whereas everything else is making lower lows. I'm talking about that 153.75 touch on Apple that came in around, Tesla that came in around 10.15. Then we made another higher low at 154.15 that came in at around 10.50, and then the low that we just dipped into right now at 154 3/4. It's been sequentially higher lows for TSLA. So if you're looking at taking this one short, just be aware of the micro trend that it's doing at the moment. All right, let's have a look at some of these other Mag 7 names, see what's popping off there. Getting a bit of a reprieve are some of these names. You got the NVIDIA off that 843 1/3, popping back into that 47 area, so a couple of bucks off there, but still below the 10-period moving average, and it has respected the 10-period as a level of resistance most of the time on the day, and when it has broken through it, the second candle after that, the subsequent candle, I should say, printed below the 10-period. So that could be another area. If you've missed the short on NVDA, this could be another area to set up a resting order to take this bad boy short, as it looks as if, we're going to continue to bleed. I don't see any trend changes, quite frankly, at the moment to really signal that we're changing trend here. So that is weak. I'm talking about NVIDIA is weak. What else? Not Softy, but Amazon. An interesting look here. So we had that big dip right into the break of 180. We bottomed out at 179.82. And then look at the subsequent bottoming tail candles over here. And what are bottoming tail candles indicative of? If you've been with us at least for a few months and you've been watching the lessons, you know that bottoming tail candles are usually an indicative of a tug and war between buyers and sellers, because buyers are stepping in at that price and telling sellers, no, not right now, maybe later, but you're not dropping anymore currently. So right now there's a bit of a tug and war happening between buyers and sellers on AMZN, and has been taking place for the last 20 minutes, because all four of these candles look awfully similar. Doji looking candles with equidistant upper and lower wicks, and bodies that are a lot smaller than the wicks of the candles. So we'll see here if this one can curl up. But this one as well, I'm talking about Amazon, has also rejected the 10-period moving average the entire day. So if this one curls above it, it could be interesting of a trend change here. So we'll keep eyes on Amazon, Adair.
Yeah, we're waiting here for the express delivery of the Amazon, but also auctions. We're just waiting on that here. Happy it got out of the Mar-a-Long when it did. We did keep ticking to the upside, but that's okay. If we reject and continue to make lower lows, I'm going short. Also, yeah, if anyone sees anything in this auction, let me know. I'm waiting here to see if this circulates. I have keeping my eye on it. We will find out. I'm prepared to take an auction trade, but I want to see which way the market reacts. So sometimes it will have a couple different mixed reactions. Right now, it looks like we're pushing a little bit to the upside on a lot of these names here. I'll have the cues up as we get that auction news, actually, so everybody can see here. Trying to reverse a little bit, actually, to the upside, potentially, are the cues. So we'll have to see. It's going to be a bit of a Q&A here. What direction do you want to go with this auction news? I asked the NASDAQ. We'll have to wait and find out. Waiting for that to come. Okay, we got it. U.S. 20-year bond high yield, 4.818% versus the previous of 4.542%. So definitely more positive, or higher, sorry, than the previous. Also higher was the 20-year bond bid to cover, which was 2.82 versus the previous of 2.79. So higher overall. Market not reacting super strongly to this one right away. I would say sometimes you do have a more immediate reaction, either buying or selling from the auction news. Right now, though, I would say this is a little bit more tamped down from what I can see. So we're going to have to wait and see and wait and find out. I don't want to get involved in anything until I get a better sense of which way we're moving. That's also why, and I've kind of learned this because I've been burned by this before, I like to close all my positions or at least have a good handle on my positions before the bond auctions because you don't know what this way we will go. One time I ended up being in the, I had like a really small part of my IWM position still. I was an IWM short. And then we had a sell off from the bond auctions that benefited me. But honestly, I didn't even feel that good about that trade because it was like Adara, it worked faster because of the auction, right? So just things to keep in mind. Everyone's going to trade differently with that regard. Although, why Brothers United, I like this, market to take off due to the change in yield percentage. Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see what we do here. I'll go back to my cues to see what's happening here. We're waiting to see what happens. We're kind of, I want to see what we do actually at this 426.20 area. That was a little bit of the most recent, I think, bottom. If we break above that, and it looks like we might, we'll have a nice move to the upside. Yeah, why Brothers United, certainly correct there about this kind of change of the tides in this market. Let's take a look at some other names. Rippin' Ron Pan saying, look at Nike go. Let's see how Nike does. Yesterday we had Adidas earnings, so Nike, of course, a competitor there across the pond, if you will. Yet, nice pop up here in Nike. Not a ton of volume here, just kind of an average volume candle, but nice pop up. Did Nike have any individual news to explain its decision to go on a little jog here to the upside? Let's find out. Nike. In sympathy with Adidas is what I'm seeing here. So yeah, so nice move though for Nike, continuing its sprint up in a market that is generally pretty negative, although certainly reversing a skosh as we got that bond auction news, which did come in higher than the previous.
Oh, yeah, eh? What did we have, the 20-year?
We had the 20-year, and it was 4.8 versus the previous of 4.5, so it was pretty significant too.
Okay. Yeah, that's one thing I definitely need to load up here. If anybody knows what the ticker is for the 20-year on IBKR, tag me, please, because I can't seem to find it. I'm talking about the yield, not the actual bond itself. So, yeah, tag me with that because I've had trouble finding wherever this one's been. So, let's talk about some, okay, Tesla's doing things here, breaking through 156 RAM as it's coming into that local high over here at 156.50. The last print at 156.50 was a quick wick up and then right back down. This one seems a bit more incremental in its ascent. So we are at the 50 period on the 5 right now on TSLA. 156.10, I would say, is the 50 period. So we haven't cleared it with any distance. We're printing 15s and 14s. That doesn't mean a whole lot. So I want to see higher highs here before we start punching long on Tesla. And let me tell you, it's going to take some energy on my part to want to punch long a Mag 7 name today, especially with the big move down that we've had. But what I'm seeing is at least local bottoms are coming in. Now, we could print newer local bottoms, but looks as if we kind of rounded out a little bit on these Mag 7 names, most of them. US 20Y. Okay, let me try.
I'm also seeing TLT. Says very
no, that's the ETF. No.
Oh, okay.
I want the actual yield US 20Y. Let me try that. No, that doesn't work, Wes. Thank you, though, for letting me know. No, guys, what I'm looking for is the futures contract for the 20-year yield, not the ETF for the actual bond and not the bond itself. I'm just looking for the yield, the futures contract. I haven't been able to find it. And so I haven't been able to make comparisons between the auctions and what we were currently printing out. I follow the 10, the 2, and the 30 on my platform. So I'm able to see where they're trading before the auction itself comes out, because that's what we need to be comparing to, not the previous print. We need to see how the auction comes out at 1 o'clock versus what it was trading at 12:50. I'm just giving you any random time, okay? That's what we need to see. All right. Yeah, there's a curl up here in this market. There's no question about that. Now, whether it's sustained or not, that's going to be the question here. We just broke through the 10 period on Apple. We broke through the 10 period on Google, as well as Softy and Meta. We haven't broken through the 10 period on any of these names for a very long time. Okay, the 20 period obviously next as a level of resistance. Oftentimes what we see is when there's perfunctory breaks, we break the 10, but we hold up at the 20. We'll see if that is the case here. But yeah, wow, AMD $10 off the bottom, Katina man, as it comes into that 855 area. Yeah, I'm talking about NVIDIA, excuse me, not AMD. Excuse me, NVDA. Yeah, I know, right? 843.35. We just printed 853 and change, so that is interesting there. We'll see if these moves are sustained. I have my suspicions. I'll tell you that, given the day that we've had today, Adair.
Yeah, what a day indeed. Also, Annie Hughes saying XAU USD.
Let's give that a try.
Okay, so sure, to give that a check. Right now, oh, that's gold. Oh, sorry, that's gold. So I guess you want to look at gold. I can look at the GLD ETF. Yeah, so that's not going to be. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, that's gold. So we're going to look at gold, though, because a lot of people mentioning gold. So I'm going to look at the GLD ETF here. This is a, let's see how we're doing. Oh, yeah, what a move down. Then we kind of come into, we butt heads with this 90 MA. I want to see what we do here if we continue to move up. The one thing that gives me, you know, a sense we could reverse a little bit is going to be, look at this bottoming tail candle that we have. To me, these show that we have a little bit oomph in the buying side. We say nah to the sellers, and we push a little bit higher. I think a move above that 90 MA could be nice because right now we are quite literally, like, you know, like when the cats try to like move their heads so you can pet them more. That's kind of what the GLD is doing with the 90 MA. I apologize for that very odd analogy there. But I think there's certainly something in the water here at gold. Another thing I'm keeping my eye on is going to be, I'm going to be trading the TSLA, its little sister, but I'm going to show Tesla to show what I'm referring to. Look at this, triple top or double top earlier here at 156.40. If we reject this again, I want to go short TSLL. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. Right now, though, I am in CLSK, clean spark, waiting for a clean spark of selling to the downside. To me, this has been a pretty clean range all day. Lower highs, lower lows, bit of a move down here in BTC. I'm basically flat on this right now, about 2 pennies out of the money. And I'm trying to get out if we break above 65, so it's going to be a higher high. That, it's not like, you know, a risk to ratio type, risk to reward ratio type P&L. It's just going to be more, or sorry, risk, yeah. The risk to reward, sorry, I'm going to reword that because I think I got lost in the sauce somewhere. This is based not on a ratio. It's going to be more just based on this local high. Also, someone was asking, what's the local bottom and the local top? So basically, that's going to be the most recent low or high that you're trading off of. And you can use that sometimes for your entry points to add to the position, to get out. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So to me, this local high, this 1465 is going to show, at least at this point, we're trying to get a little bit more buying power. So in that case, I don't want to be involved. This local low, this most recent low at 1430, bless you, is going to be my out for the bulk of my, or not the bulk of my position, the remainder of my position, because that was the most recent low. So I don't know if we're going to be able to break below that again. I don't know if that's the best example that I use there. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Let me know. But that is the local bottom and the local top, the most recent bottoms and tops that you're dealing with. Oh, you got short the Cybertruck.
I did. I'm looking at this level over here. Now, this could be a short trade depending on whether Tesla continues up. But this is the level that we've been at as a resistance level on TSLA the majority of the day over here. So we'll see if this one breaks above the $0.50. That's going to be my out. But I'm looking for rejection of this level that we're currently trading at. It's been a bit of a local top on TSLA. So we'll give this one a little bit of room and see exactly what we get there. We're also, this is important for futures traders and for anybody trading Mag 7 too, maybe except for Tesla because it's been marching to the beat of its own drum today. But we almost curled into 17.7. And 17.7 is right where the 20-period moving average is on my 5-minute look. We're curling off that 17.615, coming into that 100-point level. That could be a key area of resistance. Not saying it will be, but it definitely is one to keep an eye out for. I always chart these 100-point levels on the future, and if we reject here, well, then that'll be quite telling. So let's keep an eye on the future as we curl into 17.7 and see exactly what manifests after that. Now, as I talk about this, let me tell you about that. This over here is Apple, and it's curling into the 20-period moving average. Why is that relevant? Because it had been rejecting the 10-period the entire day, and we just finished saying that when, you know, the retracement is a little bit steeper than what it has been, it typically is a 20-period EMA retracement rather than a 10-period EMA retracement. At least that's my observation. So we'll see if this is in fact the case and whether we start curling the majority of these names, I'm talking about the Mag 7 names, off this area and headed back down there. So let's see exactly what we get on the future over here and on this Tesla short that we're currently in. We're printing some 18s. I was looking to wet my beak there at 18s, but we'll pack our patience as this one marches to the beat of its own drum, obviously on the day. Tesla has been kind of independently running as of late.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Tesla and Apple have very much been their own unique individuals. They're like, who says we're part of the mix, Evan? What are you talking about? We're going to do what we want to do. Right. Everything else is up and we're down on the year, so we have freedom to move how we choose. That's what they're saying. But yeah, so nice look at that Tesla short. I was going to get involved in that, but also we do have the lesson, so I will be getting to that. Right now, we're about 6 pennies in the money in CLSK. Woo. Thank you, I'm happy. I'm going to stay on this. I'm just going to keep an eye on this on my side chart and manage it if need be. But right now, I feel comfortable with this. Bitcoin is looking nice. This range is rangy. That's maybe one of the more redundant things, but that's cool. The range is ranging. I'm happy with what I'm seeing, so we're going to let this do its thing, 21. Also, just really quickly before I get to the lesson two, I really see what you mean. I agree with what you're saying about us coming into an interesting point here with Tesla and a lot of these other names, because Tesla, as Sharif just fist pumped, was in an area of resistance, but so was NVIDIA. Look, a lot of these previous areas of support and resistance flipping over here, so I think that's
literally what I was just saying, the 20 period. I agree 100% with you on that.
I wanted to echo that because I do agree with that. Right now, clean spark, hopefully going to continue to spark that short because I want all the smoke. And all
do
the
we have the weed animation? I really need to get that weed animation over here. I think it's so important. There he is.
Right, and it's very apt for our show as well because we are doing the shout out to.
You know where these are from? You should know this.
Yeah, the 1960s Batman show.
Okay.
Hey. Like all of the words
that's
on
what
the
they
screen.
based it on, right? Yes, yes, I got confirmation from that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the 1966 Batman show for people who have not seen.
Days,
classic.
Adam West.
Amazing. Adam West, Burt Ward, Yvonne Craig.
Holy, you stop punching outside your weight class, bro.
I grew up on that show,
You were like
though.
minus 500 when that show came out. You weren't even thought of being conceived yet.
No,
you know so much about it. Good for you, Dara.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. But for now, we are going to get into the lesson, Volume Spike Surprise, which is, I think, a great title, and I think really summarizes how these volume spikes can feel in these small caps. And if anyone has some examples of a small cap with a volume spike surprise that we can talk about, let us know, because I'm very interested in showing these in the wild examples. So this is a guide to uncovering hidden momentum, specifically in small cap stocks, because they can be a little bit more susceptible to intense volume moves and a little bit more reactive. So what is a volume spike surprise? Imagine you've got a small cap just hanging out, doing its thing, it's trading sideways, then the trading volume explodes. This is what we call a volume spike surprise, and the key question arising from this surprise is going to be, does the spike signify a hidden buying spree or a mass sell-off? Well, why is this going to be so important, first and foremost? Because a sudden change in volume can indicate a potential change in sentiment. For small caps, it's actually going to have more impact because you have news and events impacting things a little bit more because you can have a bit of a smaller float, smaller market cap, things are a little bit more receptive, and this can be a surprise harbinger, I love that word, of a potential price movement, and so the challenge will lie in deciphering the reason behind the spike. Distinguishing the good from the bad is also going to be really important here. So you have different types of volume spikes. They're going to mean different things at different times. The informational volume is a surge triggered by news releases, so earnings reports, product launches, etc., and you want to analyze the news. Is it positive or is it negative? Or sometimes even more aptly, is the market going to interpret it as positive or negative? Because it's all about how the market interprets things. You hear a lot here, there's no such thing as good or bad earnings, about how the market interprets it. So keep that in mind as well. Think about, wait and see how the market might interpret this news that you just get. Also, worth noting too, buying and selling pressure. So you could have a spike with increasing price that can indicate a strong element of buying pressure, which could lead to a swing upward, or a spike with a declining price, which just suggests heavy selling and foreshadow an impending downtrend. And then we have an example of a bullish volume spike. So this isn't a small cap. This is on the daily chart for gold, but you have this kind of chop and churn here. Then you have this move up and that spike in volume, which shows this uptrend is strong, and it's here to stay, maybe for a good time and not a long time if you're a small cap. And here's another example too. This is going to be a bullish volume breakout. You have it again, another chop and churn, and then you have the breakout of the upper part of the trend line with volume to show, hey, I'm here and I'm in the move, on the move. So yeah, it's just a couple examples here from some charts that are showing examples of these breakouts, not necessarily in small caps, but just how they might look on a chart if you see one. But there can be fake news and other pitfalls. So you do want to be cautious because not every volume spike is going to be genuine. So some potential pitfalls are fake news. I said pitfalls are fake news, which can involve malicious actors spreading false info to try to manipulate stock prices or trigger a short-lived volume spike.
I have to tell you something.
Please do.
So when I wrote this, I actually wrote fitfalls. That's creepy, bro. I actually mistyped it and wrote fitfalls, and then
That's
you
so
actually.
funny.
Yeah, I'm thinking because maybe the F was there, and it kind of got me to
think
write it,
so.
and it got you to say it too, which is funny. I actually did write
That's hilarious.
fitfalls. Yeah.
Well, that was like that day. Oh, Dollar Club.
852 short NVDA again for the Katina man. Again.
Yes, I mean, Sean for the win video on that. Seriously, congrats to Sean at Real Trading, killing it with that trade for sure. Also, CLSK still basically flat. I'm just in that still to give an update on that. But yeah, and it's crazy too. That was like the day that you put Chubb at the top of the downgrades list, and the night before I had been thinking that'd be really random.
I remember that. Yeah.
Sometimes we're in sync, I guess. But yeah, profit taking also worth noting here as well, because you can have a sudden increase in volume from insider selling or existing investors cashing out and not necessarily new money entering the stock. So be aware, you don't know. All you see is the volume candle in what direction. You don't know what caused it, is the moral of this. Also, you want to look for volume continuation. So are you seeing a continued increase in volume, or are you seeing one big pop and a big drop? So here's one example here from Mumu. We have the strong uptrend, so you have price and volume increasing, but the uptrend can be a little bit weaker, or you can see signs of it showing a bit of depletion when you have decreased volume as the price gains. So you have the uptick in price, but you don't have the uptick in buyers following suit. So here are some strategies that can help you tackle the volume spike. Surprise! Here, some of these are going to include identifying the cause, right? So you have to understand the reason behind the spike. You want to know, does this have a reason it's moving? As long as I know that there is a reason it's moving, I'm interested in getting involved. You also might want to use news sources, social media sentiment analysis, and this is really key because a lot of these small caps, you can see if they're moving if you go on Twitter and they've been mentioned like 20 times in the last 1 minute. Right? So definitely, if you're going to trade small caps, I find Twitter can be an interesting source to use to gauge sentiment and interest in a stock. Are there eyes on it? That's how you can kind of tell sometimes. Confirmation is also key because you do not want to jump in blindly. You want to see price action and other technical indicators confirming the sentiment before entering a trade. Does the price movement align with the potential cause of the spike? If so, maybe the water's warm and you want to jump right in. Also, you want to be quick and decisive. This is a huge thing I'm learning in trading in general, but also small caps can be really key because these guys are, as Sharif was saying, here for a good time, not a long time. So have a good time because the sun can't shine every day. But yeah, if your research does suggest a buying opportunity, you want to be ready to act fast with a swiftness, with a viciousness, and have a plan to exit if the price movement doesn't confirm your thesis. You have to be ready to be in and out like a thief in the night. Also, volume spike surprises are risky, so you want to do your due diligence before taking your trade and make sure that you're managing your risk properly, and consider paper trading to practice your strategies with these stocks.
Bang. Thank you very much for that lesson, Adara. I'm short AAPL, 168.78. My out is going to be 169. The whole point here is to try to short the 20 pop, but let me tell you, I thought that we were going to get a 17.7 rejection, and I'm not saying that we got a 17.7 reclaim at the moment, but we are above 17.7 at the moment, and I don't think Apple continues to the downside if we do reclaim 17.7 here. So I'm packing my patience, trying not to paper hand the trade, especially knowing that we're only a couple of points above that critical 100-point level on the future. I do see this topping tail candle into the 20 period here on Apple, which got me to like this trade a little bit more, okay? Especially because I had a bias. Number one, Apple short. Number two, I was talking about the retracements being into the 10 period as opposed to the 20. The deeper retracements that you get every once in a while are usually to the 20 period. So that was my thinking there, and that's what precipitated me to get into this trade. So we're short AAPL. We'll see if we can wet our beak here on a quick profit taker. Alas, it's not to be. We were 1 penny. That's happened to me a lot today where I've been like 1 penny off my profit taker and it hasn't triggered, right? So that's a bit of a tougher look, but that's my problem. Nobody else's. Let's see what else is going on here. Tesla doesn't know that the future is going down. Tesla is on the way up. Here comes 157 on Tesla, 156.77. I think we just printed, maybe 80 something there, couldn't quite tell. The reason I'm yelling and excited about this is because this has been a consolidation top the entire morning. Since we broke that level at 9:30 a.m., we haven't been at these levels on TSLA, and it's been obviously different than the market in general with these higher lows it has been putting in. Now it's putting in higher highs, so that upward channel back intact here on TSLA as the board gives Elon the nod of confidence there, baby. They want him to get paid. And they're going to move the company out of Delaware if they have to do that. So we'll have to wait and see how that all pans out with TSLA, but that was a good look. Also, there's that India news that, you know, he's looking at opening up shop there. Received well by the market because, well, they want to friendshore a lot of this stuff. But going back into Tesla here, I wanted to mention that even though we were singing this was praise, yesterday's closing print on TSLA is about 157.07, 157.10, something like that, just right at that 157 area. So that could be another area of possible resistance here. You'll see that's where the institutional print at 8 a.m. bottomed out. So again, you know, we've talked about these institutional prints at like 8 a.m. and all the theories behind them and whatever. But the point is, it did come into that level. So keep your eye on the potential area of resistance here for TSLA at 157. We'll see what we get there. But the trade that I've got currently is this AAPL trade, and I'm looking for it to curl back down, go down. Dan, the man, Emmons, NQ, narrative changes if price can get back over 17,760. Until then, looking for further downside to 17,601, 17,565, and 17,515. Geez, Dan, talk about wanting the market to crash. Shout out to Dan, the man, Emmons, having one of his better days, and I know Monday was a big boy day for you, so shout out to Dan.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull this one up because I thought this was kind of interesting. Danny Clay is saying VIAO red to green. So this is, I'm trying to figure out what the deal with this one is. I'm not seeing any news on this. This is a penny stock, about 33 pennies. Right now, very top and churn. I would like this range if it was not a penny stock. Like, look at VIAO just doing its thing, chopping and churning. I'm going to get some more deets on this stock, though. And I don't know why I randomly decided to take a look at this. But we do have nice volume, over 13 million shares traded. So I think it's definitely one worth looking at there. And I think clearly it does have eyes on it, given the 13 million shares currently involved in VIAO. This is VIA Optronics. And you have, okay, so not seeing any float on this. Okay, this is interesting. I don't have any, if anyone has any more details on this, I would be very curious. I want to wait and see what happens on this. And yeah, Sharif taking here his bite out of the apple. I am trying to wait for Clean Spark to spark a short, and I have to say, this is another one where I'm really proud I didn't panic sell. And by panic sell, like I don't mean like getting in, like if it gets above my area of interest and I get out, I'm proud of that, right? Like I had the stop loss. But if it doesn't and I freak out and leave the trade early, I don't want to do that, right? So I noticed here, I said I want to see what we did at 65s. We approached 65s while I was talking, very hesitantly knocked on the door of 65s, and Clean Spark said, heck no, and slammed the door in their faces, closed the door, as Jerome Powell once said. And so, you know what I mean? That happened. So I had to stay in the trade. So I'm happy I didn't panic sell because we dipped near 65s. I didn't have that viciousness I needed to leave. So I'm really proud I stayed in. So still in CLSK. I think sometimes the biggest things, and I talked about this earlier too, they're not going to be the P&L wins. It's going to be the trades that I felt proud of, that I took, that I for whatever reason, that I took for a reason, and that I tried to take with a viciousness, I guess. I think that was a little bit rambly, but really happy with what happened.
You've been very vicious lately.
I guess so.
I don't know.
I guess just trying to have more confidence in myself, I think.
Because you keep saying viciousness.
I do, because I feel like I've stopped saying it the last few days, so now it's like
swiftness has been a word that you've been using as well. I like it, I like it.
The intensity. Also, let's see what else is happening here. I thought Meta, in a way, bounced off 488, is now fading away the 50-day SMA, says Daryl Flinch, who certainly wasn't flinching at that Meta short, because I know you were involved in that earlier. So congrats to you on that. I know you were looking for 488, so it looks like you did print. Congrats. Also, yeah, this is interesting. It's coming back to that previous area. We had that chop and turn around 491, trying to find that base at 491 again. So Meta, an interesting one. Definitely not a Meta trade, though, for Daryl Flinch. I'm making the profit on that, but more of a macro trade for you. Also, speaking of which, let's take a look at SMCI, which I just thought of because I guess I was making related puns with micro and macro. But SMCI, moved to the downside yesterday after moving up yesterday on a stunning price target increase from 600 to, drumroll please, 1,500 from Loop Capital, raising the price target by $900 on SMCI yesterday, giving it a nice run to the upside. Right now, continuing to see that a bit of that stutter step to the downside, but like what we're seeing with a lot of these names curling on that 9 EMA. Let's see if it bounces. Also, CLSK, if you want to do anything beyond waffle around, let me know. Let me know.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Yeah, you tell that stock, Adara. No, for seriously though. Sebastian, yes, we are sane, I promise you. Eddie, did you load up what? Did you load up too much Adara's? Dude, she's just an
I didn't even finish
she's
my
a happy
coffee.
person, okay? All right, yes, Tesla, I see that, guys. Tesla coming into that 157 area that we were talking about. And now, believe it or not, Tesla officially green on Z-Day. I did wet my beak on some profits on AAPL. I have like a tiny position. So if that stops up above 82, that's fine. I don't care about that because I'll tell you why. I feel like the trend is changing on these markets. We're getting away a bit from 17.7. We're putting some hammer candles here on some of these Mag 7 names. We're curling into the 20 period. We're not blowing through the 20 period. So I am a little bit hesitant to kind of, be like, oh, wow, yeah, market's changing. We'll see. We'll see exactly what we get there. But Tesla at a critical level of resistance. I'm talking about yesterday's closing print, 157.07. It's above that right now, but not by a whole lot. So we'll see exactly what we get here. I'll definitely be interested to short Tesla if I can see some sort of manifestation of a rejection of this level, like a topping tail candle or a big red candle on the volume bar, something akin to that. We're going to keep eyes on it. I just don't want to get bamboozled into the trade where I get sucked in and then have this thing jump into 158 like a rocket ship, which Tesla is absolutely capable of. Anybody who's traded Tesla in the past knows exactly that this one is the options king. I don't know now if NVIDIA is overtaken that as the options king, but definitely Tesla for a period of years was the options king. So yes, now we're out of that last little remaining amount on AAPL, but a very profitable trade for me so far on Apple. It's been a positive day on AAPL. I'm pleased with that. Positive day on TSLA. But now we're looking for more because we still have about half an hour left on the show and we got to keep trading. Top VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. Shout out to you, my man. Have a look at Docu, clearing VWAP, can see 58 soon. Yes, sir. Let's jump into DocuSign, one of Aunt Kathy's preferred stocks, and one that I use a lot, Adair. You'd be surprised with the new stuff we're doing at my work. The amount of actual documents that I'm really signing IRL is ridiculously small. It's mostly, for like the lease that we're going to sign on Friday. It's been DocuSign. It's been a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, not much in terms of volume today. I see their top on Docu. What is the volume exactly on DocuSign? Allow me a moment here. So we 410,000. I can't, I in good conscience trade that, especially since we're hovering right at Friday's closing, or yesterday, excuse me, closing print. So the closing print yesterday, 57.75. We're printing 57.72. It is clearing VWAP. You're not wrong, but what about this resistance level from yesterday's closing print? I need to be cognizant of that. In the same way that we were talking about that 157 level on Tesla, I'm talking about 57.72 on Docu. There's got a lot of X's beside its name. The volume is not there. The technical break is not there. I see what you're saying, though, coming into VWAP after, bottoming out at 57.25. I think actually the low of day is 57.12, but the majority of the prints are at 57.25. I'm going to have to respectfully decline to trade this one. It is not my cup of tea, but if, it does more volume, then we'll jump right into it. All right, Apple coming into 169. Happy that I got out of this trade. Here, I feel the market shifting a little bit here, guys. We've cleared 17.7 now. It looks by 20 points or so. We'll see exactly what we get. Let's bring in the future and see if there's any price action resistance levels, ram on the chart over here. This area, 17.725. This was a low end of the area. We ranged there from 11:30 till 12. That was the low end of the range. So we're almost there. We're about 5 points from from 17.725. So let's see what we do when we get there. That is an interesting area of possible resistance. Above that area, I'm going to have to say that probably, did we respect the 50? No, there's been no dancing with the 50 today. It's going to be maybe 17.775, but really it's probably going to be 17.8 in VWAP. And by the time, if we make it up in 17.8, the volume weighted average price will have likely come down to conflate with 17.8 on there. But we'll see. I mean, we could get this could be a fake out breakout through 17.7. And Dan the Man Emmons was saying something about high 17.7s as a possible change here. Let's see what he's looking at. So high 17.7s. What did he say? Actually, let me go back to see what Dan said over.
So sorry, really quickly. So
yeah,
Snapchat.
Go for
we had this volume pop on Snapchat.
Happened?
I looked it up. There is a story on it too. Traders are circulating apparently that TikTok divest or ban bill is moving on the fast track through Congress. So this is just being circulated by traders. Thank you to Benzinga. We don't know for sure if this is happening, but this is what the word on the street, or the metaphorical street, the tweet street, is happening. Meta's moving up as well. Thank you, Sharif, for putting that one out. So we'll take a look at Meta here. Oh yeah, also getting a nice pop as well on this news. Whew. Meta looking at VWAP, and you know what's also interesting to me too, that 496 area of support. Can we eclipse it?
Is it a V pop?
Let's find out. V pop. I like that.
Slow clap, but not really.
It wasn't a slow. It was a fast.
Yeah, I know.
I enjoyed it.
I think it deserved a slow clap because it was that bad.
But, I like the V pop.
I know you like it.
The VWAP pop.
All right, rejection off Apple at 169 for a second over here. So a couple of topping tail candles into 169 on AAPL, kind of doing its own thing because the market looks like it is curling back up, but you wouldn't know it looking at Apple. These two topping tail candles are, to me, awfully bearish, okay? Especially coming in at a critical level of resistance like the whole dollar level. So we'll see here with AAPL, but not a good look. Also, Tesla coming into 157 again, rejecting off pivots, putting in a bit of a topping tail candle of its own. We were talking about this area being a critical area of previously support, now resistance, or so it looks. Let's not jump into this willy-nilly, especially with the fact that Tesla's been putting in an obvious upward channel here, right? Okay, so that's interesting there on Tesla, figuring out exactly how to take this. Are you still looking at TSLL, or has that gone by the wayside? Because I haven't heard you trade it for a little bit.
Yeah.
TSLL. Is it on the NASDAQ or the AM?
It's on the NASDAQ.
Is it? Thank you. Okay. So maybe we'll
I like this topping tail candle. I'm really
right?
tempted to get, yeah. You know what, Adara?
Damp it.
Do it. I'm saying that to myself, so I said that very aggressively. We're going to take this a small position just because I want to practice getting involved when I like what I see, when I like a setup. We're going to try to get short here, 38. We're going to give it to 41s. We'll do 41s. And then we're going to try to take profit at 32. So I'm comfortable with my risk to reward on that. Tesla, let's get involved.
Be Besla or be Bessel.
Thank you, because yeah, so it's for context. So instead of calling it Besla, I'm calling it Bessel or Stressel because I have the two L's now because I'm shooting TSLL. So this is Stressel. So we'll have to see how it goes. I love that you said that. I got a kick out of that. But we're trying to get it at 38s here. This topping candle to me looks very bearish. Probably could have gotten in a little bit faster with more of a viciousness. I think Sharif's entry at 37.
I already,
yeah, that makes more sense.
Nuts.
So I was a little bit maybe too caught. Okay, we're involved now. So we're going to be trying to get out here at, let's do 32s. Let's go. Let's go, Stressel. Let's get involved. Really small position. Just trying to practice. And I think this is really key for me as well. And I appreciate, I was talking to Sean and Neil and Sharif and everyone about, my experiences and my differences live trading so far. And I think one of the things that really came up is that you want to feel comfortable taking risks and trying new things. And so for me, not a huge, I could have taken a few more shares, but I think for this, I really just want to practice getting involved when I see a setup I like. And that was the impetus as well for the SQ trade earlier, which was, I was really proud of that long as the market went to the downside. Now it looks like SQ might be a short as the market goes to the upside. So if we go back to 80s, I really like that 80 area. If we come, I don't know if we will, but if it gives me an opportunity to do a rip sell at 80s, I'm interested. So bye-bye, Mara. SQQs are going back on the side chart. Also, speaking of Mara, I want to talk about my CLSK trade. So I'm happy with where I got out. We broke above that 65 with the viciousness I got out. What I'm not happy with, though, is I had my Bitcoin chart up. I was like, oh, we're still to the downside. It's going fine. If I had refreshed the chart, I would have seen that we'd had a couple consecutive green 5-minute candles, and I could have scalped out at this at 50s. So that's a little bit of a moment for me to reflect and be like, Adara, you should have been more aware, I guess, and be a little bit more cognizant and gotten out of that earlier. Because as Frank Jones is saying right now, Mara, Riot, CLSK, and Snap all climbing. So the point I'm trying to make is I'm still happy I got it where I did, but I could have done a little bit better had I been more cognizant of what Bitcoin was doing. And that's something I can reflect on and hopefully learn from for next time. Right now, though, we're just waiting to see what Tesla wants to do here. This candle to me was pretty bearish, but now this candle that I got short in the midst of is looking maybe a little bit bullish. I don't like this tail to the downside showing that the buyers are ready to go. Sharif just sits down and says, go Tesla. And yeah, I hope Tesla goes to the downside, because right now I was just saying these candles are a little bamboozling, right? We have this very bearish candle. Now we have a slightly bullish candle. But you and I are both in the Model 2 together, ready to take this one.
Hold on, he canceled the Model 2 though.
That's true.
Well, did we get confirmation from him that he canceled it? It was a news report, right?
He said that it wasn't real. Well, he said Reuters is lying, and then tweeted a different tweet that said Reuters is dying.
And then he deleted.
And deleted the Reuters is lying.
Yes.
So we don't really know.
We don't really know.
We don't really know.
You know what we do know, though, Adara, is that Meta just moved $10 off the bottom. Unreal pump up there. Consider this the TikTok tailwind, or so that I called it last year when Meta had that big move up from $89, and we saw where Meta ended up closing last year. 87.14 LOD on META, and then look at that pop into 498. So I stand corrected. $11 pop there on META. Nice V-shaped retracement. We're getting, let's pull up the actual headline itself. There it is. TikTok divest or ban bill moving on fast track through Congress. According to Bloomberg, House Speaker Mike Johnson is including the TikTok bill in the Ukraine and Israel aid package. Really, talk about earmarks. That's interesting. Yeah, good question, brother. We'll have to wait and see exactly what happens. Neil's saying how's that going to get through, but that is the look. Look, we don't get into too much politics on the show, but there has been pushback against this bill. Let's see if the bill passes. It hasn't been for the TikTok. It's been about funding other wars and stuff. You guys know what that's all about. And we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, interesting. Beautiful look up here for Meta. Now, the question is, the topping tail candle that Meta's putting in right now. So the print got up right into the 200, exactly at the 200 on the 5. And that price was 498 and 2/3. We ended up closing, though, at 497, just a smidge below 497, 496 and change. Now, this red candle that's being put in, does it hold up at the volume weighted average price? Do we hold on to VWAP here? Now, we haven't really danced with VWAP all that much on the day with Meta, but there was wicking rejections from the south side. Look at all these pops into VWAP. All of us said, no, thank you. Down you go. So we did kind of respect volume weighted average price earlier. Do we now respect it from the north side? VWAP on my chart on Meta is right at a smidge above 495. So 495.15, 495.16, something like that. So we'll see if Meta can continue to pop up here or what the situation is. But what a big move up there midday with the TikTok tailwind.
Yeah, the TikTok tailwind. I was just about to type that in the chat for ZST Inc. So what happened there is Meta and Snap both getting a move up with some trader. Oh yes, this is actually now from Bloomberg. TikTok divest or bill ban moving on fast track through Congress. Although, as someone was saying here in the chat, apparently the bill doesn't even mention TikTok. So interesting note here. Also, Michael Moore was asking why we went short Tesla here, or I can't speak for you, but I think we had a similar impetus, which is going to be that topping tail candle. That's why we decided to get involved in Tesla.
I hate you for having a better price than me.
Well, but that was because I waited too long.
How
that was my
petty
issue.
is that? That's like petty level 100.
But I wasn't. But that's because I honestly admired your price because you just got in. You saw what you liked and got in. I waited a little longer, and that's why my price is what it is. So I think you could take it. You could take it.
People are yelling about DJT, Adara.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, DJ.
There goes DJT to the north side. What is this? Okay, let's pull it up. Donald John Trump pumping through that, let's call it 26.5 top that we had earlier, and that just came in. All right, so it doesn't look like it coincided with the Meta pop. What time did Meta start popping? 125. When did this start moving? Yeah, okay. It started moving about a couple of minutes after Meta. Anyway, Neil had earmarked a good level that I liked. Yes, this 28 1/3 level. That is yesterday's, let's call it after the bell high there, right into the VWAP rejection. So interesting level here at 28.31. But yeah, it looks like we're not even going to hold 28 for now on DJT as we break down Adara below 27.5. It looks like it's going to be a topping tail candle here for DJT. And that is not a good look, especially if it closes that way. And then the subsequent candle ends up going red. Usually it ends up in a V-shaped retracement of sorts when that kind of stuff happens. But we'll be watching that. DJT though, guys, keep your eye on it. It's up 20% on the day, 19.75% right now after the shellacking it took the last couple of days of Adara.
Yeah, also speaking of shellacking, I like this 5-minute candle we just got in Tesla. Pleased as punch with how this is going. Also, I was trying to get short NVDL, but I think I was a little bit too ambitious with the price I wanted there, wanting 39s. Now we're a little bit lower. The other one I'm looking at that, though, is shout out to Frank Jones. Frank Jones. This Affirm short. Look at this range on Affirm. I like as well this little wick to the upside here, showing that we do have sellers overwhelming buyers. I'm going to stop yakking about it and start punching in. Because I like what I see here, and I don't have any reason to not try to get involved. We're going to be getting in here. Oh, we got filled. Perfect. We're going to give this 10 pennies into 31.15 because I want all the smoke all the way down to 30.80. So to me, to risk 10 pennies and try to get roughly 25, I'm okay with that ratio. Nice. Let's get involved here. Affirm. I also traded this one yesterday too, and I was really proud of this trade yesterday. I got short. I was just trying to short it a little bit. I can still show you guys the movement. It's not going to show my entries, but I can still show the movement here. Affirm was, I got involved in this short yesterday when we kept rejecting off that 9 EMA, and then I ended up benefiting from this move down from Papa Powell speaking. So I like that example because it was a good example of, I still had the trade planned, and then we did have that economic, I guess, move there with the Powell dump that I ended up benefiting from as well. So like I said, I think it's, one thing I want to mention, because I brought this up a little bit earlier, very briefly, with regards to taking trades in and around auctions and stuff like that. I would say don't take that trade on the impetus that you have an auction, but if you have something that works out, you still feel confident in the trade and ends up benefiting you, I don't really see anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? I think sometimes that can happen. Yeah. But also what can happen is Tesla creating to the downside. So how are you feeling right now? Because I'm pretty happy.
I put a couple of B quitters out there. None of them have filled yet, but I'm keeping my eye on the future, Dara, because we were talking about clearing and holding that 17.7 level. Eek. So this is the level we were talking about, and I don't know. I think we could be headed back down here. We'll see. This level, we on the futures NQ June contract I'm talking about, we ranged at the low end of this level from 11.30 to 12. Then we gave up the ghost at this level. I'm talking about the 17.725 level. We move right back in there. Lo and behold, resistance again, down into 17.7 we go. Do we hold the 100-point level? What is, what's it called doing? Tesla doing? What are the Mag 7 names doing? Well, you got a monster topping tail candle on Meta. You've got a curl down a little bit here on Apple and Amazon as well. So they are feeling the effects of this 17.7 retracement. But we still haven't printed on our 35 dip here, our 35 profit taker on TSLL. I guess TSLA hasn't dipped enough for us to be able to cross there. But the market now below 17.7. So here we go. Do we now tank off this level, or do we have a quick reclaim of the 100-point level? What a day today on these markets, man. But I got to tell you, it's I don't want to say it's been predictable, but at least the levels have actually come in. So when you've looked to short at the 50 period because it was rejecting off the 50 period earlier, you got that fill. When you look to short at support or whatever, go long, the levels have been jiving a little bit today. But obviously, you know, as a long-term investor, I don't like to see the market all that red. Intraday, great, fine, but you know, if the market could pop up 400 points by 4 o'clock, that'd be great.
Yeah, you don't want your apple to be a red delicious. You want it to be like the Granny Smith, right? Because you are, yeah, because I know you're interested in an apple, right? But
I like
yeah,
apples in general, too.
That's true, too, in general. We're talking about apples last week, too. But yeah, I'm happy with TSLL. Affirm got a bit of a move to the downside. I'm waiting for a little bit more oomph in this push to the downside. But I want to mention this comment from Frank Jones, who, as I, again, shout out to you for bringing up a firm in the first place, and also I think is very apt given our lesson of the day. Frank Jones saying, identifying patterns, not just price, but volume as well. Like this one in a firm should be part of every trader's arsenal. And I like that. What I want to see too is look at this volume. We have this big, not big, but definitely a nice little spike up on volume on this candle to the upside. Now I bought once I noticed we fell from that area. I like this candle. This candle looks bearish to me, so I get involved. And then look at this next candle. We don't have the same volume. It's a bit of a spike here and then a pullback. I'm waiting a little bit. I'm trying to be patient here for a little bit more of a pullback in the price. I don't want to add to this position because I'm comfortable with the amount of shares I have, a smaller position, just again, practicing getting in and out of trades. But I'm really proud of, I'm happy I got involved in this trade. And again, I love our community. I feel very happy to be a part of our community. And shout out again to Frank Jones for letting us all know about this volume and price pattern we found. Frank Jones. Also, because for anyone who wonders why we say it like that, there's this rapper Mike Jones from 2004.
Yes.
And he said his own name like that. Fun fact, did you know his grandma is the reason he said his name in his song?
No way.
Because she's like,
said it that way?
she's like, oh, you need to get recognized. Like, you have to, like, hype yourself.
Smart.
So that's why he
That's
says,
smart.
who is Mike Jones? And Mike Jones a lot because that, we wanted people to know his name. So, anyway, shout out to Frank Jones and Mike Jones, I guess. But yeah, so just trying to take these trades, trying to feel more comfortable. And if I like a range setup and the volume's holding up, why am I not getting involved? So that's the look on that. Also, we haven't looked at NVIDIA for a while, so I'll pull up NVIDIA. This is interesting. I initially was kind of interested in getting short NVDL here, and I'm happy I took a firm instead because a firm to me was more affirmative in terms of it being a short. NVIDIA ends up curling a little bit at this 9 EMA, so I'm really happy. You know, and honestly, I don't even know why I was considering shorting this, even on a range basis, because we have higher highs and higher lows. So happy I didn't get involved in that. NVIDIA absolutely curling to the upside. And shout out to Sean for killing it with those multiple shorts on NVIDIA earlier. Yeah,
this is looking like a long now in the market. Okay, so we're getting rejections off 17.7, and by rejections, I'm talking about pops off 17.7. So I'm getting out of my my TSLL. To be honest with you, this is kind of what you look for when you look for a bounce off the 100-point level. Clear it by a decent distance. I would say 25, 30 points counts as decent. Come back to it and defend it. And that's what it's doing right now. Here we go, the market coming into local highs. Keep your eye on the 17.7 1/3. That was the base we were talking about earlier on. The range between 11:30 to 12. If we reject off this level again, then I'll eat my words. But if we clear it, then it'll look like at least, maybe a 17.8 retracement on the future. The future looking bullish at the moment. You're getting the likes of TSLA. Good thing I got out of that TSLL. Right as I got out, it shot up 4 pennies right off that. So I'm happy about that. That was a good catch there. Now what I want to see, Meta. So I loaded up Meta on another screen because we had that big topping tail candle. We came back into VWAP. VWAP on my chart around 495 and change. Do we hold this level on the volume weighted average price? The market's going in the right direction now for Meta to kind of to jive with the market. The market wasn't going in the right direction earlier. Let's see, do I jump in here or what the deal is with META? Kind of a tougher look. There's about 9 minutes left on the show. Does this pop, or am I going to have to manage this after? That's kind of the question here. It's breaking below the volume-weighted average price yet again. Okay, it's doing things I didn't think we would do. And so is the market, man. Market's putting in a topping tail candle as well at 17.740. So lots of bamboozlement here, man. Jeez Louise, just when you think you have a beat on this market, the market gives you, you know what, again. So we'll have to keep an eye on this Adair. It looks like, Dan, NQ rejected. He just wrote it right back into that low end of the range again, 17.735. We move right back into that level and we reject again. I thought we were going to clear 17.7 owing to this hammer candle here off 17.7, this one. And then the candle subsequent to that, bottoming tail candle. Yeah, bamboozlement's real. It really is.
Yeah, and it's hard to read. I am so I got out of Affirm, and now Affirm's rejecting again. Thanks, Affirm. Got out of Affirm because we broke above 15s. Now Affirm's rejecting yet again. I don't want to get back involved though, and I have to say today was a lesson in trying not to trade your P&L. I'm still up on the day, which I'm really proud about. But I was doing a little bit better earlier, but I wanted to take some more trades because I felt comfortable in the trades. Thank you very much, Sherry, for the plethora of buttons. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think one thing that's really key is if you like a setup, trade the setup. Don't worry about like, oh, what happens with the trade. Like, if you feel confident, if you have risk management in place.
Okay, I'm going to go on the spiel a little bit
You have to
here.
take the tries. Oh, you have a spiel?
I have a spiel.
Oh, I like the light bulb there from Sean.
Ooh. What are you doing over there, Katina, man? Oh, yes.
Let's do it.
Kid. All right. In exactly 1 hour and 8 minutes, Arsenal will play Bayern Munich. But there's another match on. Forget about the one that I want to watch. Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Who is pumped for that game, guys? If you're pumped for that game, throw up ones in the chat, please, because City is 1.5 to 5 odds to win this game. That's kind of a bit of a slap in the face to Madrid, given how well they played last time and how well they have been playing. I'm talking about you, Vinny Jr. I'm talking about you, Jude Bellingham. And there's a whole host of others, man. This is going to be an interesting game. It takes place at the Etihad, which obviously favors City. But I got to tell you, City fans, yeah, they're newer. Let's just call them that. They're newer fans, because City is a newer good team. So yeah, City, Real Madrid, tied 3-3 on egg. So if you're ready for that game, baby, yeah, I see those ones coming in. A la Madrid, I'm cheering for Madrid. Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I have to hate Manchester City because they're a competitor. And they're in pole position right now to take the Prem by 2 points. So down with you, City, just like we were down on the future.
Yeah, City's Pep Guardiola, right? Because I heard he's like a good coach.
Oh, yeah, he's the best coach in the world.
That's why it's interesting, because I know they have a good coach, which again, Ted Lasso has really helped me. I'm really happy I ended up watching that show because it's really helped me in these conversations, able to contribute a couple words. Also, my last trade of the day, I assume, unless something really crazy happens here, with 6 minutes left in the How to Trade show, I am shorting Mara. I like this pseudo double top here, but mostly, like I said, I don't like getting involved in these crypto names based on formations. I like getting involved in them as well based on what Bitcoin's doing. I still think we're climbing higher on Bitcoin, but this topping tail candle here on Mara combined with a temporary move down in Bitcoin, if I can take a couple pennies here, I'll be pleased as punch. Like I said, trying to get more confident, punching in if I see something I like. We're going to take a couple pennies on this. I think we're continuing to the downside, but this really small position, just practicing buying, selling. If you like something, get involved. If you see something, say something, which I believe is like a police adage, but I think also is applicable here. As Michael Scott of The Office, as played by the great Steve Carell, said, adapt, react, readapt, act. And if that doesn't have a lot to do with the markets, you know, I think it does, right? It's got that slight applicability here. I want to see us drop down here to 90s. I don't know if we're going to get it. I'll take 91s. Again, we're scalping a couple pennies, but this is really just for me to practice getting more comfortable, getting involved. It looks like I should have gotten out a little bit earlier because we're trying to pop back up here. I don't like the idea of us making a new high, but this is just examples of, you know, practicing, getting more comfortable with the trades, getting involved, making the trades. I really got pretty happy with how I traded today, all things considered.
Good, good. Yeah, keeping an eye on this market. Again, we look like we were going to reject off that 17.7 1/3 low end of the range. We come back into 17.74, so it looks like it's curling up, but you know, I have my reservations about how high we can get today on this market. I really wanted to get into meta, but I don't think I had enough time to pop in this trade. Here comes 17.750, and you've got a whole bunch of different names here at parts of the chart that they haven't been in. I'm talking about you, Meta. I'm talking about you, Tesla, today. There comes 158 on Tesla. That is the pre-market low end of the range now. So if we were looking for resistance at 157 owing to yesterday's closing print, now we can look for resistance at 158 on Tesla, but I don't know if it holds up with this market going here, baby. 157.98 now, new high of day on Tesla as it breaks through pivots and goes green on the dates, up now 0.5%. Great look for Tesla on the day. We were able to take this short twice, believe it or not, and both positive. But now it is changing its tune as the market in general changes its tune. And then you've got the likes of Google now above the volume weighted average price, recovering off that big dip, off that 157 dip into 154 and a half. Now we're above 156 on Google. Softy coming into the 50 period moving average. Likewise with Apple knocking on the door of 169 and the 50 period. Amazon as well curling into the 50 period and the whole dollar level at 182. Nvidia coming into that local top over here. For whatever reason, 855 has been a local top. It was initially a resistance level, 855, multiple dip bids there on 855 earlier, and then it ends up being a resistance level, and we're right at 855, or we just printed high 854s. We're dancing in 853 right now, but this is a key area. Like, I mean, if you can put a horizontal line here, I don't even need a horizontal line. You can kind of see that this was an area of support, and now it's flipped into resistance, 855 on NVDA.
Yeah, it's had an NVD day, that's for sure.
Oh,
really happy I didn't go short NVDL at 40s, which is what I was considering, and I almost forgot to cancel that order, and thank goodness I did. Instead, I took the Affirm short, which was not profitable. I should have probably scalped out of it, but I still am happy with the risk management. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned today, I think I'm learning a little bit about trading even more every day with live trading, and my biggest thing I learned today is sometimes you have to be proud of yourself for managing the trade properly.
Okay.
We lost on this Affirm trade, but we managed it properly. We lost about 10 pennies. We were risking about, we wanted to get about 25, so I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? Getting out of Mara, scalping out of this as we make that move back up, right? I think for me, what I've realized is there's two aspects. It's being confident in the trade in the first place, or I guess three, making sure you have you're comfortable taking that trade. Now that you like it, you have to be confident enough to get in, and then you have to know when to get out. So those are the three kind of, I guess, lessons I've really learned today. We're called how to trade, so why not kind of sum it up like that? Really happy, honestly, today with some of the trades that I made, especially that SQ trade earlier. And I think, you know what? Trading, of course, you're thinking about the sum of everything. You're thinking about the P&L, but sometimes you have to be proud of these individual moments. I think that's important.
Well said. Absolutely. Especially, I mean, you know, being a newer trader, absolutely agree with you 1,000% on that, Adara. All right, I was just watching the future here, and a nice move into 17,750, which also happens to be the 50 period. And it's the first time we've touched the 50 period all day, not breaking through it with any vigor right now, but not willing to say that this is going to be a rejection. So I want to keep my eye on this trade, no question about it, as we move into that 50-point area and the 50 period. So this could be an interesting bull trap here, making the longs think that we're going to defend 17.7 and then bringing us all the way back down. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what we get here. I think we have a minute left on the show. It's been, or not even, we have 15 seconds left on the show. So I'm going to let you finish it off.
Can't believe that. Yeah, it's been, I hope you guys have had as much fun as we have. I think it's been a really fun day in the markets, learning a lot, trading a lot, and really happy to be here with everybody for volume spikes. But tomorrow, another day in small cap land. We're going to hope that the markets give us some small caps to trade. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Same bat time, same bat channel. For now, though, Brendan's at
See you guys.
the desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in 2 o'clock as we head through the afternoon here. A couple hours left on a pretty busy afternoon as the market is concerned, trying to get back to